Chapter 2360. Longao, I believe you've already guessed it. I asked you to come here this time because I hope you can help me subdue this chaos rock. As expected. Longao was very depressed in his heart. Even the godly mathematician couldn't seal the chaos rock forever. Wouldn't it be like hitting a rock with an egg? Longao was very self-aware. Senior, I want to ask, how strong is this chaos rock? That was the key. If the chaos rock wasn't strong enough, then he could help the godly mathematician. No matter what the godly mathematician's purpose was, Longao knew very well that without the godly mathematician's help, he and the Empire might not have reached this step. He could also take this opportunity to thank the godly mathematician. The godly mathematician also understood Longao's meaning. There was no doubt that no matter who it was, they would have done the same thing. No one was willing to throw away their lives for nothing. If Longao was being hypocritical, the godly mathematician might be angry. I won't hide it from you. When I fought with the Chaos Rock, we were evenly matched. It was even stronger. Ha! Hearing the godly mathematician's words, Longao was completely shocked. Although he had already guessed that this Chaos Rock from the source of chaos was very strong, he didn't expect it to be so strong. There was no need to say much about the godly mathematician's strength. With a high-level chaos tablet, the godly mathematician could be considered the strongest in the vast starry sky. From this, one could imagine what kind of existence the source of chaos was. Senior, you think too highly of me. Even you can't deal with the chaos rock, let alone me. The godly mathematician smiled and said, Longao, although the chaos rock is strong, it doesn't have a chaos tablet. I have a chaos tablet, so I can use it to suppress the chaos rock. Longao had already thought of this. Even so, what could he do? Longao was convinced that if Master God Diviner was confident in being able to kill the primordial rock, he wouldn't have needed to wait so many years. In the end, Master God Diviner simply wasn't confident. All these years, I've been thinking about how to subdue this chaos rock. Longao, I don't have anything to hide from you. If I can subdue it, I might be able to unravel the secrets of the Chaos Stone Tablet. So that was the case. It was true that no one could resist the temptation of a primal Chaos Rock, not even Master God Diviner. Since things had already turned out this way, what else could they do? Longao knew that the fact that Master God Diviner had revealed this secret to him meant that he was putting everything on the line. If he didn't agree to help, then he had no idea what would happen. Senior, what should I do? Come with me. Master God Diviner and Longao both rose to their feet and walked toward the main hall of the Dragon Clan. Long Family, Ancestral House. Although there were no ancestral tablets, this place was still listed as a forbidden area by Crimson Fire Town. No matter who it was, no one was allowed to enter without permission. Could it be that the primal chaos rock was sealed within this ancestral house? It was just as Longao had guessed. Back then, Master God Diviner had sealed the primal chaos rock here. However, due to a strange combination of factors, the Dragon Clan's residence had been built on top of it. Longao, this is the place where the primal chaos rock was sealed. It is also the place where you were born. Unbelievable. Even now, Longao was still a bit afraid. If the Dragon Clan hadn't moved away in time, then once the primal chaos rock had broken out of the seal, the Dragon Clan and the entire Martial Heaven continent would have been annihilated. It would be a lie to say that he didn't feel the slightest bit of resentment. Master God Diviner had clearly known about this, but he had never mentioned it. If they hadn't moved away in time, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Seeing that Longao wasn't speaking, Master God Diviner naturally knew what Longao was thinking. Senior, I have a question that I hope you can answer truthfully. Speak. Longao thought about it for a moment. In the end, he said, Senior, with so many things happening, it would be a bit unrealistic if I still couldn't guess. Master God Diviner didn't say anything. I want to ask Senior, is Long Batian your clone? Although this guess was a bit ridiculous, after everything that had happened, Longao was almost certain that his guess wasn't wrong. Long Batian was definitely Master God Diviner's clone. Master God Diviner shook his head. You're only half right. It seemed that Master God Diviner had no intention of continuing to hide this. Longao, since things have already reached this point, I don't want to keep hiding it. Long Batian was only chosen by me back then. After so many years, he can be considered loyal and devoted. In a bit, I will raise him to the peak of the starry sky and let him oversee your empire. What do you think? Could Longao accept this? Long Batian was Master God Diviner's subordinate. If he really did go to war with Master God Diviner in the future, Long Batian would definitely help Master God Diviner, not him. However, Longao didn't refuse. He smiled. I have no problem with that. When Master God Diviner saw Longao smile, he smiled as well. Senior, in that case, when will we go to the sealing site? Longao was very much looking forward to seeing the primal chaos rock that had escaped from the primal chaos fountainhead. He didn't need to guess to know that the primal chaos rock contained the true power of primal chaos. Otherwise, why would Master God Diviner be thinking of ways to destroy it? There was no question that Master God Diviner wanted to use the primal chaos rock's power to unlock the secrets of the primal chaos steelies. If Master God Diviner could do this, then he would be the strongest person in the universe. No one would be his match. Longao, relax. Although the strength of the chaotic giant rock is very powerful, I was only able to seal it by luck. However, after so many years, I have been suppressing it, and the injuries of the chaotic giant rock have gradually worsened. So, I must succeed this time. Otherwise, according to my guess, if there are no accidents, the chaotic giant rock will break the seal and leave here in less than 100 years. At that time, the people in the vast starry sky will be plunged into misery and suffering, including your soaring dragon empire. How could Longao not understand what Master God Diviner meant? He sneered inwardly. Master God Diviner was doing this because he wanted Longao to help him subdue the primal chaos rock. Senior, don't worry. I will do my best. Master God Diviner seemed to be very satisfied. Although he was very afraid of the variables, he didn't put Longao in his eyes. He was very confident that he could kill Longao in a matter of minutes. It would be a very easy matter. Chapter 2361. The sealed place was right below the Lin family's ancestral house. If Master Godly Mathematician hadn't mentioned it, no one would have known, including Longao. It was too well hidden. And as soon as Longao stepped in, he clearly sensed that there were at least dozens of peak starry sky immortals around the sealed land, and there was also a starry sky ruler seal. What did that mean? Even if someone found this place, no one would be able to step in. The sealed place was a huge cave. In the center of the cave was a cage made of lightning, in which sat a beautiful young man. Was he the Chaos Rock? A starry sky beast could transform into a human, let alone a Chaos Rock, which was as strong as Master Godly Mathematician. How dare you come, Master Godly Mathematician? Seeing Master Godly Mathematician, the Chaos Rock was furious and kept roaring. If it weren't for the cage, it would have attacked Master Godly Mathematician. Master Godly Mathematician ignored Master Godly Mathematician's anger. Master Godly Mathematician and Longao came to the cage. Rock, I've told you that if you're willing to submit to me, I'll let you go. Get out of here, Master Godly Mathematician. You'd better not let me break out of the seal. Otherwise, I'll tear you to pieces. Is that so? Master Godly Mathematician didn't care at all. Master Godly Mathematician might not be as strong as Master Godly Mathematician, but he had the Chaos Tablet. Even if he didn't really control the power of the tablet, he had merged with it. In this way, Master Godly Mathematician could suppress Master Godly Mathematician. Otherwise, Master Godly Mathematician wouldn't have been able to seal Master Godly Mathematician. Longao's intuition told him that if Master Godly Mathematician didn't want to subdue Master Godly Mathematician, he would have found a way to destroy Master Godly Mathematician. Longao, try and see if you can help me subdue Master Godly Mathematician. Him. The primal chaos giant rock almost burst out laughing. His face was filled with disdain as he spoke in a mocking tone. Master Godly Mathematician couldn't do it. How could a small starry sky immortal do it? Was Master Godly Mathematician out of his mind? Master Godly Mathematician was too whimsical. The chaotic giant rock laughed mockingly. His laughter was full of contempt. He didn't put Longao in his eyes at all. Master God Diviner and Longao didn't seem to care at all. Longao nodded his head and began to sense it. He could clearly sense that the chaotic rock within the seal was not simple. If he were to rely on his senses alone, he definitely wouldn't be able to sense anything. However, Longao was not worried at all. This was because the non-elemental Chaos Stone tablet in the Chaos Hall could help him sense the aura of the Chaos Rock. Without a doubt, the Chaos Rock within the seal must have grasped the power of chaos. In other words, the power contained within the Chaos Stone tablet was also one of the most terrifying strengths in the vast starry skies. However, the primordial rock only had a pitiful amount of primordial energy. Otherwise, the divine mathematician wouldn't have been able to defeat the primordial rock, let alone seal the primordial rock. Most likely, Master God Diviner knew that as well. Wanting to subdue the primordial rock was almost impossible, unless there was an absolute suppression of strength. However, in the entire vast starry skies, only Master God Diviner had the chance to do so. But looking at the current situation, even Master God Diviner couldn't do so. In other words, in the entire vast starry skies, no one could subdue this primordial rock. Unless there was someone who could truly grasp the power within the Chaos Stone tablet. If that was the case, there might be a chance of subduing the primordial rock. Longao didn't hide anything. He told Master God Diviner everything that he had thought of earlier. However, he didn't tell him about the Chaos Hall and the non-elemental Chaos Stone tablet. Longao was almost certain that if Master God Diviner knew about this, he would be in big trouble. Extremely big trouble. This was because the non-elemental Chaos Stone tablet was clearly not a low-grade one. It wasn't a mid-grade one either. It was highly likely to be a high-grade one. Would Master God Diviner allow another high-grade Chaos Stone tablet to appear in the vast starry skies and be on the same level as him? That was definitely impossible. Not to mention Master God Diviner, no one would agree to this. This was something that couldn't be denied. After hearing this, Master God Diviner wasn't the least bit surprised. You're right. Right now, there's only one way, and that is for me to grasp the power within the Chaos Stone tablet. Only then will I be able to subdue the primordial rock. But if that's the case, then this matter will be completely meaningless. Longao knew exactly what Master God Diviner meant. The reason why Master God Diviner was so eager to subdue the primordial rock was because he wanted to borrow its power. He wanted to see if he could grasp the power within the Chaos Stone tablet and become the true ruler of the starry skies. But now, he couldn't subdue the primordial rock at all. This was a complete pain in the ass. Master God Diviner didn't want to wait any longer. He didn't have the slightest bit of confidence that he would be able to grasp the power within the Chaos Stone tablet. Over the years, he had thought of countless ways to subdue the primordial rock. Besides the primordial rock, he had tried everything else. But none of them had worked. If he kept waiting like this and the primordial rock broke out of the seal, then he would be in big trouble. All of his previous efforts would be for naught. Of course, Master God Diviner didn't want to see that happen. Therefore, he had to cut the Gordian knot and subdue the primordial rock. Then he could borrow the primordial rock's power to grasp the power within the Chaos Stone tablet and become the true ruler of the starry skies. Rock, I'll give you one last chance. Are you willing to submit to me? Master God Diviner had clearly lost his patience. He had always assumed that Longao would have a way to help him subdue the primordial rock, because that was what he had predicted. He hadn't expected that Longao wouldn't have a way to subdue the primordial rock. Who knew what he would have to do to subdue the primordial rock? The primordial rock laughed and said mockingly, Master God Diviner, you're overestimating yourself. Who do you think you are? You want me to submit to you? Let me give you a word of advice. Go home and sleep. Don't provoke me again. Sooner or later, I'll break out of the seal and leave this place. When that happens, you'll die. Anger. This was the first time Longao had seen Master God Diviner so angry. In his impression, Master God Diviner was always calm and collected. No matter what happened, he would always be able to deal with it calmly. It seemed that Master God Diviner was still a person, even after becoming the ruler of the starry skies. However, Longao wasn't sure if Master God Diviner was a friend or foe, so he didn't let his guard down. As the saying goes, caution is the parent of safety. Chapter 2362. It was a stalemate. The marvelous mathematician wanted to subdue the chaotic rock. But how could the chaotic rock be willing to submit? Neither of them was willing to back down, so they had been in a stalemate for countless years. Longao couldn't do anything. After all, the strength of the chaotic rock was obvious. The marvelous mathematician obviously didn't want to give up. He stared at the seal cage in front of him and said, "Longao, if you can help me subdue it, you can ask for anything." What did that mean? Did the marvelous mathematician not believe in him? Longao was extremely depressed. Before he could speak, the marvelous mathematician said, "Longao, it's not that I don't believe in you, but I know you can do it. It's just a matter of time." He was very surprised. Longao really couldn't figure out what gave the marvelous mathematician so much confidence that he was sure that he could help him subdue the chaotic rock in front of him. Hearing the marvelous mathematician's words, the chaotic rock was the first to laugh. Its laughter was full of endless contempt and ridicule. A small starry sky mighty wanted to subdue it. It was a total joke. From the beginning to the end, the chaotic rock didn't take Longao seriously. "Marvelous mathematician, are you out of your mind?" The marvelous mathematician didn't care at all. He sneered and said, "Rock, let's wait and see." The marvelous mathematician took Longao to the side and said, "I have something important to do. I'll leave for 10 days. Think of a way to subdue this chaotic rock." Okay. Since things had come to this, even if Longao was unwilling, he could only choose to agree. As for whether it would succeed or not, it would depend on luck. Anyway, Longao had no confidence at all. The marvelous mathematician smiled, turned around, and disappeared into the cave. In the entire cave, only the chaotic rock and Longao were left, looking at each other. All of a sudden, the chaotic rock said, "Boy, what's your name?" "Longao." The chaotic giant rock nodded and said, "Longao, if you help me break out of the seal, I will give you everything you want. What do you think?" Longao already knew what the primordial rock meant. He definitely would not agree to the primal chaos great rock's request. If he angered the God Diviner, it wouldn't matter. After all, he could enter the Chaos Palace. By then, even the God Diviner wouldn't be able to do anything to him. The only thing Longao was worried about was his family. The monk can run away, but the temple can't. If the divine mathematician forcefully made a move against the soaring dragon empire, how many people in the empire would be able to contend against the divine mathematician? At that time, the entire soaring dragon empire would be wiped out. Like he said before, he wouldn't provoke the oracle unless he was absolutely sure. He shook his head. Longao smiled and said, "Primordial rock, I only have one mission, and that is to help Senior God Diviner subdue you." The primordial rock wasn't surprised at all. Since he was brought here by the divine mathematician, he might not choose to believe him if he agreed so easily. She was naturally paranoid. Instead of getting angry, the primordial rock laughed and said contemptuously, "Longao, with your strength, do you really think you can subdue me? If not for the divine mathematician sealing me when I was injured, even if he had the chaos tablet, he wouldn't be able to defeat me. What a piece of trash." Longao was not interested in what happened back then. He didn't continue to talk to the primordial rock. Instead, he sat down and looked at the seal in front of him. Longao kept thinking about how to subdue this primordial rock. This matter was too difficult. Even the divine mathematician had no idea how to subdue this primordial rock. Thinking about it, one could imagine how difficult it was to subdue this primordial rock. Until now, Longao still couldn't figure out why the divine mathematician would choose him. As for the previous explanation, it was complete nonsense. He didn't believe it at all. The divine mathematician didn't leave immediately. He was still in the cave, but Longao didn't know. Seeing that Longao didn't agree to the primordial rock's request, the divine mathematician relaxed and disappeared from the cave. Longao didn't turn around, but he could clearly sense that the divine mathematician had truly left this time. Of course, he couldn't sense the divine mathematician's location or aura with his own strength. However, he had the primordial chaos palace, which was incomparably powerful. He could truly sense that the divine mathematician hadn't left. Longao was almost certain. If he had agreed to the primordial rock's request, there was no doubt that the divine mathematician would have attacked him. Now was not the time to shed all pretense of cordiality. All right, the divine mathematician has left. Longao, shouldn't we talk about the terms now? Longao smiled. It seemed that he wasn't the only one who had sensed the divine mathematician's aura. Even so, there was no way he would agree to help the primordial rock break free from the seal. Longao smiled and shook his head. I'm sorry, but I can't help you. Like I said, I only have one mission, and that is to subdue you. As for anything else, it has nothing to do with me. Nothing could get through to him. He wouldn't be the primordial rock if he wasn't infuriated. Even so, the primordial rock forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart. He kept telling himself that this was his only chance. If he missed this opportunity, he didn't know how long he would have to wait to break the seal and leave this place. The primordial rock was well aware of one thing. The fact that the divine mathematician had brought this person here and hoped that this person would help him subdue him was enough to explain a lot of things. The primordial rock had pretended to despise Longao, because he knew that although this person's strength wasn't very impressive, he was definitely extraordinary. Otherwise, the divine mathematician wouldn't have acted like this. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He had to do everything he could to get out of here. The primordial rock wouldn't have worried at all if he was in his peak condition. But now, especially after so many years of accumulation, his injuries were getting worse and worse. Even if he could break free from the seal with his own strength, he still wouldn't be a match for the divine mathematician. When the time came, he would really be subdued by the divine mathematician and fall into eternal damnation. At this moment, the primordial rock was very anxious. He said, Longao, let's talk. You can name any conditions you want. As long as I can do it, I will agree. What do you think? Longao shook his head and said resolutely, that's impossible. In the vast starry sky, the divine mathematician is the strongest. If I help you, what will happen to my family? Chapter 2363. It was only for a moment. The chaotic great rock had already understood what Longao meant. The marvelous mathematician was indeed very powerful. It would be a piece of cake for him to deal with others. No wonder Longao had such concerns. It was still the same sentence. For the chaotic great rock, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Longao, I can promise you that as long as you can help me break out of the seal, I will take charge of your empire. With me around, even the marvelous mathematician won't dare to act rashly. Was this really okay? Longao couldn't take the risk, nor did he dare to take the risk. He wouldn't doubt the chaotic great rock's words. He also believed that the chaotic great rock would definitely take charge of the empire. But would this be useful? It wouldn't be useful at all. With the marvelous mathematician's powerful strength, it would be a piece of cake for him to deal with the empire. Shaking his head, Longao said helplessly, forgive me for not being able to help. The chaotic great rock was completely anxious. Because the chaotic great rock knew very well that when the marvelous mathematician returned in dozens of days, even if Longao was willing to help him, it would be impossible. Longao, state your conditions. The chaotic great rock was still unwilling to give up. Chaotic great rock, I have a few things that I don't understand. I hope you can answer me truthfully. How about it? If I answer you, are you willing to help me break out of the seal? Longao didn't dwell on this issue because he was in control of the situation now. The chaotic great rock could only be led by the nose by him. Chaotic great rock, the first question is, why are you in the spring of chaos? Did you enter from the outside, or are you in the spring of chaos? This question was actually useless for Longao now. However, out of curiosity, Longao still wanted to ask to see if the chaotic great rock had entered from the outside, or was it in the spring of chaos itself. The spring of chaos. As expected. Both the marvelous mathematician and Longao had already guessed that the chaotic great rock didn't enter from the outside, but was in the spring of chaos itself. Longao was very surprised because he knew very well what it meant to come from the spring of chaos. No wonder the chaotic great rock could master the power of chaos. The second question is, what is inside the spring of chaos? I refuse to answer that question. Longao didn't press him. If you don't answer, I'll stop asking. Longao was not in a hurry, but someone else was. The primal chaos rock looked at Longao coldly. It was true that a fallen tiger would be bullied by dogs. A featherless phoenix was no better than a chicken. His heart was filled with unwillingness, but the matter had already come to this. The primal chaos rock sighed deeply in his heart and said, Longao, I can't say much about other things. I can only tell you that the primal chaos source is a channel. Passage. What did that mean? Longao became more and more curious. However, he didn't continue to ask because he knew very well that it was impossible for the chaotic giant Peng to continue to answer this question. It would be pointless to ask. But even so, he had already obtained something very important. According to the chaos giant rock, if the origin of chaos was a channel, then what was at the end of the channel? Longao, are you done asking? Don't be in a hurry. Let me ask you the third question. The power of chaos you control, is it the same power as the power of chaos in the chaos tablet that the God Diviner possesses? This was what Longao wanted to know the most. The power of chaos was a completely new and mysterious power. However, he was certain that this power was the strongest existence in the vast universe. The chaos giant Peng naturally knew what Longao meant. Your guess is correct. The power of chaos I control is also the power of the chaos tablet. As expected. Before Longao could speak, the chaos giant Peng continued, the power of chaos I control is very thin. Otherwise, how could the God Diviner be my opponent? Longao knew very well that the chaos giant Peng was just unconvinced. However, Longao didn't think so. He said, Chaos giant Peng, if the God Diviner truly controls the power of chaos in the chaos tablet, would you still be his opponent? The chaos giant Peng didn't speak. Although it didn't want to admit it, the truth was right in front of its eyes. The chaos tablet was indeed very powerful. However, the God Diviner hadn't truly controlled the power of chaos in the tablet. This was also why the chaos giant Peng was in such a hurry to break out of the seal. It wanted to eliminate the God Diviner as soon as possible. Fourth question. Why don't you devour the chaos tablet? Longao was certain that the origin of chaos definitely had a chaos tablet. The chaos giant Peng itself came from the origin of chaos. If that was the case, the chaos giant Peng had countless chances to devour the chaos tablet. Since that was the case, why didn't the chaos giant Peng devour the chaos tablet? In any case, the chaos giant Peng had already grasped the power of chaos. If it devoured the chaos tablet, then there was no doubt that the chaos giant Peng would be able to completely control the power of chaos in the tablet. Speaking of this, the chaos giant Peng was very helpless. Its face was full of helplessness. Longao, it seems like you still don't know that the chaos tablet has an absolute limit. Only you humans can devour it. Among us spirit beasts, no one can devour the chaos tablet. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it after all these years. At this point, the chaos giant Peng didn't continue speaking. However, the meaning of its words was very clear. Longao nodded. He didn't have the slightest doubt. Because other than this possibility, he really couldn't understand why the chaos giant Peng would guard the so-called chaos tablet but never devour it. It was a little unbelievable. So that was the case. Longao, my patience is limited. Don't try to challenge my bottom line. Otherwise, even if I don't break out of the seal, I will kill you. Seeing that Longao didn't speak, how could the chaos giant Peng not know that Longao definitely believed it? It sneered, Longao, don't think that I can't kill you just because the God Diviner has sealed me. If you don't believe me, You can try. Longao also didn't have the slightest doubt. If the chaos giant Peng that controlled the power of chaos couldn't do it, then it was a little too unworthy of its reputation. However, Longao didn't have the slightest fear. He smiled and said, "Chaos giant Peng, don't try to trick me. Even if you can kill me, do you think I will be afraid of you?" Without giving the chaos giant Peng any chance to speak, Longao continued, "Why don't we try?" The more Longao acted like this, the more uncertain the chaos giant Peng was. Could it be that Longao was so fearless because he had something to rely on? If that was the case, then things were really troublesome. For a moment, the cave fell into silence. Longao didn't speak, and neither did the chaos giant Peng. Chapter 2364. Time passed, bit by bit. A few hours later. The primordial rock couldn't hold back any longer. "Longao," it said coldly, "it seems you're going to be stubborn." Longao didn't care. He hadn't made any promises, and the primordial rock had answered his questions. It had nothing to do with him. "Primordial rock, let me give you a word of advice. You'd better save your energy. It wasn't worth provoking Master God Diviner for a primordial rock." If Longao said that there was nothing in his heart, then he would definitely be lying. He knew exactly what the primordial rock meant. If he could subdue this chaos rock, then the significance would be completely different. Although the primordial rock hadn't devoured the primordial steles, it had mastered the power of primordial chaos, and could fight Master God Diviner. If he could control the primordial rock, he wouldn't have to fear Master God Diviner. Still, Longao was worried. If it was just him, it wouldn't be a big deal. But there was the entire empire. If Master God Diviner went crazy and secretly attacked his family, then things would be very troublesome. Of course, Longao didn't plan on helping Master God Diviner subdue the primordial rock. That was because Longao knew that God Diviner was the strongest being in this vast universe. If he subdued the Chaos Rock, the Chaos Rock would be incredibly strong. God Diviner would be able to control the Chaos Tablet's power. God Diviner would become the strongest being. If that happened, then Master God Diviner would act without restraint. Not to mention others, even he would be in trouble. This kind of method of harming others without benefiting oneself, Longao would definitely not do it. What should he do? For a moment, Longao wavered. According to Master God Diviner, he would return in 10 days. In other words, he had 10 days to think things over. Although he hadn't left the cave, Longao was certain that after Master God Diviner had left, he had sealed the cave, making it impossible for him to leave. It was understandable. Longao wasn't angry at all, because other than Master God Diviner, everyone else would have done the same. After all, the primordial rock was a very serious matter. If he subdued the primordial rock and left without a hitch, wouldn't Master Clairvoyant cry himself to death? If it were anyone else, they would have no chance at all. Except for Longao. As long as Longao was willing, he could find a way to subdue the primal chaos rock and enter the primal chaos palace. Longao was extremely confident in his primal chaos palace. Not to mention others, even Master God Diviner would not be able to lock onto his position once he stepped into the primal chaos palace. However, Longao did not do so. The reason was simple. He wasn't going to provoke Master God Diviner unless he was completely confident. Even if he didn't think about himself, he had to think about his empire and his clan. In any case, Master God Diviner's strength was obvious. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. Inside the sealed cage, the primal chaos rock was furious. However, there was nothing he could do because he couldn't leave the cage. The culprit was Master God Diviner. Holding back the anger in his heart, the primal chaos rock gradually calmed down because he knew that the reason why Longao didn't help him was because he was afraid of Master God Diviner. If he could eliminate Longao's fear of Master God Diviner, then there was no doubt that Longao would help him break out of the seal. What should he do? The primal chaos rock was also constantly thinking of a way because he knew that his promise was useless to Longao. Otherwise, Longao would have agreed to it just now. Longao didn't say anything either. He knew what the primal chaos rock was thinking. Primal Chaos Rock, how should I enter the Primal Chaos Palace? If he could step into the Primal Chaos Palace, Longao certainly wouldn't miss such an opportunity. There were two reasons. The first reason was that there were many Chaos Tablets in the Primal Chaos Palace. Longao was almost certain that if he could step into the Primal Chaos Palace, he would be able to use the non-attributed Chaos Tablets to obtain more Chaos Tablets. From there, he would be able to create his own Primal Chaos Palace army and allow more people to devour the Chaos Tablets. The second reason was that if he stepped into the Primal Chaos Palace, he would be able to discover the secrets of the Primal Chaos Palace. In this way, whether it was himself or his family members who devoured the Chaos Tablets, they would be able to unlock the secrets of the Primal Chaos Palace and gain control of the Primal Chaos Palace's Primal Chaos Palace. This was exactly the case. The Primal Chaos Palace was imperative. However, Longao was very clear that if he entered normally, he wouldn't be able to do it. Neither would anyone else, not even Master God Diviner. Moreover, the Primal Chaos Palace was bound to be filled with danger. Even if he was lucky and entered the Primal Chaos Palace, it was still unknown if he could leave alive. However, the situation was completely different now. The Primal Chaos Rock came from the Primal Chaos Palace. Without a doubt, the Primal Chaos Rock was very familiar with the Primal Chaos Palace's situation. If the Primal Chaos Rock could tell him about the Primal Chaos Palace, it would save him a lot of trouble. The Primal Chaos Rock smiled but did not say anything. Longao knew what the Primal Chaos Big Rock meant. If he wanted to know, he had to help the Primal Chaos Big Rock leave this place. However, in Longao's opinion, other than this, he could agree to anything else. However, before Longao could say anything, the Chaos Rock said, "Longao, I'll say the same thing again. If you help me leave this place, not only will I help you fend off Master Clairvoyant in your empire, but I can also personally take you to the origin of chaos. I'll let you obtain the Chaos Tablet you want and help you control the power of chaos inside. How about it?" He had to admit that such a temptation was too great. No matter who it was, no one could resist it. If it was someone else, even if they had worries, they would definitely agree. However, Longao was not that kind of person. If Longao really agreed, then he would not be Longao. Longao also admitted that this temptation was too great. However, for the sake of his family and empire, he shook his head and said, "I'm sorry, I can't agree to it. I have to be responsible for my family. Primal Chaos Rock, if you are willing to help me, I can promise that I won't let Master Clairvoyant subdue you. This is all I can do. How about it?" Scram. Upon hearing Longao's words, the Primal Chaos Rock was completely enraged. It was like an erupting volcano that could erupt at any time. Longao shrugged helplessly and said, "If you don't agree, then there's nothing I can do. However, you have to be careful and don't regret it. You only have one chance." Chapter 2365. The Chaos Rock seemed confused. No one had ever dared to speak to it like that in all these years. If it had been Master God Diviner or some other ruler of the stars, it would have been fine. But this was a mere universe master, and yet he dared to speak to it in such a manner. However, no matter how angry it was, it could only endure for now. It did its best to suppress its anger. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. No matter how much the Chaos Rock coaxed, Longao remained unmoved. In fact, the Chaos Rock almost went berserk. The 4th day. Just as Longao was thinking about what to do, Master God Diviner suddenly returned. Longao didn't know what had happened. Master God Diviner had said he would return in 10 days, but now he had returned 7 days early. Fortunately, he hadn't agreed to the Chaos Rock's request. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. He seemed to be able to guess Longao's curiosity. Master God Diviner smiled. "I didn't expect things to go so smoothly, so I returned early. Longao, have you thought of a countermeasure?" After so many years, he hadn't succeeded in subduing the Chaos Rock. It would be a lie to say he wasn't depressed. This was his only chance. Master God Diviner didn't know that if Longao couldn't subdue the Chaos Rock, who else in the universe could? Variables. Longao shook his head helplessly. I haven't thought of anything yet. Senior, I'm sure you know that the Chaos Rock controls the power of chaos. If you want to subdue it, you'll have to deal with the power of chaos first. Master God Diviner nodded in agreement. That was the key. If the primal chaos rock hadn't grasped the power of primal chaos, he wouldn't have even bothered to look at it, much less subdue it. The reason he wanted to subdue it was because he wanted to borrow the power of the primal chaos tablet to grasp the power of primal chaos tablet. How? Longao shook his head. I don't know. Senior, why don't you try your Steely and see if it can subdue the chaos rock? Longao was almost certain that Master God Diviner's Steely couldn't subdue the chaos rock. If it could, Master God Diviner would have done it long ago. Why would he wait until now? He'd said that on purpose. As expected. In response, Master God Diviner shook his head. From beginning to end, Longao and Master God Diviner hadn't paid any attention to the primal chaos rock. They had been whispering to each other, and the primal chaos rock had no idea what they were talking about. However, the primal chaos great rock could guess what the two of them were talking about. Without a doubt. The two of them must be discussing how to deal with him. With a gloomy face, the primal chaos rock said coldly, "You two shameless humans, let me out if you have the ability. We can have a fair fight. Why do you have to be so sneaky? You two are really trash." He remained unmoved. He still chose to ignore it. The more the two behaved like this, the angrier the primal chaos rock became. The angrier it got, the more it cursed. Trash. Shameless humans. Let me go if you dare. Watch how I tear you to shred. Master God Diviner looked coldly at the primal chaos rock. I'll give you a chance, primal chaos rock. Let's have a fair fight. If you win, I'll let you leave. But if you lose, I'm sorry, but you'll have to acknowledge allegiance to me. What do you say? Shameless. The primal chaos great rock immediately shut up. If he was at his peak, he wouldn't be afraid of Master God Diviner. But now, he was seriously injured. He believed that Master God Diviner dared to do this because of this. If he really accepted the challenge, wouldn't he be fooled by Master God Diviner? The primal chaos great rock's face was gloomy and as ugly as it could be. You don't dare. Master God Diviner said contemptuously, you've been shouting for so many years. I thought you were very powerful. Turns out you're just a paper tiger. We're trash. I think you're the trash. You don't even dare to accept my challenge. You're a piece of trash. Longao found it funny. Of course, he knew that Master God Diviner was doing this to provoke the primal chaos great rock. Once the primal chaos great rock was fooled, it wouldn't be a match for Master God Diviner with its current strength. In that case, Master God Diviner would successfully subdue the primal chaos great rock. Would the primal chaos great rock accept the challenge? Longao wasn't sure if the primal chaos great rock would be fooled or not. Inside the seal, the primal chaos great rock was enraged to the extreme. Just as it was preparing to accept the challenge, a divine sense message entered its ears, causing it to shiver. Don't even think about provoking me, Master God Diviner. If you have what it takes, let me leave this place. In 100 years, we'll fight. If you can defeat me, I'll acknowledge allegiance to you. Heh! Master God Diviner was shocked to see the primal chaos great rock return to normal. He had assumed that the primal chaos great rock would be enraged. If Longao hadn't been present, perhaps it wouldn't have. But now, the situation was different. With outsiders present, the primal chaos great rock felt as if it had lost face. But what had just happened? Master God Diviner didn't suspect Longao. With a heavy snort, Master God Diviner and Longao left the cave and entered another one, which could be said to be a cave within a cave. Longao, your cultivation has reached the starry sky realm. I have something for you. With this, I believe that in less than 3 days, your cultivation will break through to the starry sky legend realm. Longao was overjoyed. He said, thank you, Senior. Under normal circumstances, it would take a long time to break through from the starry sky realm to the starry sky legend realm. However, no matter how talented one was, it would be difficult to break through without time to cultivate. The higher the realm, the more difficult it would be to break through. Longao took a small bottle from the divine mathematician's hand. Without the slightest hesitation, he unscrewed the bottle cap and swallowed it directly. In just an instant, a warm current instantly spread throughout his entire body, and even integrated into his blood vessels. A breakthrough? Not only Master God Diviner, but even Longao himself was shocked. According to Master God Diviner's calculation and Longao's senses, even with help, it would take him at least 3 days to break through smoothly. But the result? In just a few seconds, Longao's cultivation had broken through from the Starry Sky realm to the Starry Sky Legend realm. This kind of talent was a bit too heaven-defying. Master Godly Mathematician didn't have any expression on his face, but his heart was heavy. He had gradually discovered that Longao's talent was so abnormal that it was difficult to control. If this continued and Longao managed to refine the Chaos Tablet, what would he do if he escaped from his grasp in the future? Chapter 2366. He was very worried. However, Master God Diviner didn't show it. He wasn't strong enough to deal with Longao yet. In fact, the divine mathematician also had a selfish motive. That was Longao's innate talent. If he could make good use of it, Longao would be a good helper. Master God Diviner seemed very pleased. Longao, you're very talented. You could be considered the #1 person in the universe. I wouldn't dare. Although Longao was confident in his own talent, he knew his own limitations. As the saying went, there was always a sky beyond a sky, and a man beyond a man. There were countless cultivators in the universe, and there was no way he could become the #1. Master God Diviner didn't dwell on the matter. Longao, tell me what I should do to tame the primordial rock. Even now, Master God Diviner still believed that Longao could help him tame the primordial rock. There was nothing he could do. Longao sighed. Senior, he said, it's not that I don't want to help you. But as I said, I can't help you unless you can control the power of primordial chaos. Speaking up to here, Longao did not continue speaking, but the meaning of his words was already very clear. How could Master God Diviner not know that? He didn't have much time left, and Master God Diviner had a bad premonition about what was about to happen. What should he do? For the moment, he couldn't think of anything. Senior, forgive me for being blunt. Speak. You've chosen to tame the primordial rock because you want to use it to control the power of primordial chaos in the primordial chaos steles. In that case, you don't necessarily have to tame it. Master God Diviner didn't say anything. He just listened quietly. If anyone else had heard of this, they probably wouldn't have believed him. Everyone knew who Master God Diviner was. He was one of the 12 rulers of the stars, and he was the only one left in the universe. The others hadn't truly become a ruler yet. Senior, why don't you negotiate with the primordial rock? He'll help you control the primordial chaos steles, and you'll do your best to satisfy him. Master God Diviner nodded. He understood what Master God Diviner was trying to say. All these years. Of course, Master God Diviner had considered such a possibility, but after much consideration, he had decided not to. But now that Longao had said it was possible, Master God Diviner actually believed him. Inside the cave, looking at the two of them who had returned, the primal chaos great rock was no longer angry. However, the way it looked at the two of them was still as though they had killed its father. Dopeng, why don't we sit down and talk peacefully? It snorting heavily, the chaos rock didn't agree, but neither did it refuse. The divine calculation smiled. The primal chaos rock had been sealed for countless years. Of course, it hoped that it could leave. If it was in the past, it would never compromise even if it was beaten to death. Rock. Master God Diviner didn't waste any time, and directly spoke his mind. Just as Longao had guessed, Master God Diviner didn't care about the primal chaos rock's life or death at all. With Master God Diviner's strength, having another primal chaos rock was just another powerful assistant. The only thing Master God Diviner cared about was how to control the power of the primal chaos stone tablet. Longao didn't say anything. He just stood aside and watched. He also wanted to see if the primal Chaos Rock would agree to Master God Diviner's request. In the vast starry sky, the first and second starry sky empires didn't go to war. Both sides were wary of each other. Longao just casually said a few words and then chose to leave. No matter who it was, no one knew what Longao was going to do. In this way, no one knew what Longao meant. The 5-peak starry sky immortals went to the soaring dragon empire several times with the same goal. They wanted to see if Longao had returned. As the saying went, there was no such thing as an impenetrable wall. Both sides finally met. In fact, whether it was Lin Han, Wang Dao, or the 3 eagles, they were all old foxes. The moment they saw each other, they understood what had happened. One had to admit that Longao's move was very vicious. Longao's intention was simple. He wanted to watch from the sidelines and reap the benefits. It would be a lie to say that they weren't angry. The 3 eagles didn't care. Earth Eagle sneered, Lin Han, Wang Dao, even without Longao, the first Starry Sky Empire could destroy the second Starry Sky Empire in a matter of minutes. Is that so? Lin Han and Wang Dao didn't believe it. If the first Starry Sky Empire could do it, they would have done it a long time ago. Why wait until now? Wang Dao said with a mocking smile, the 3 of you don't need to tell us how much weight each of us has. We all know it very well. Since that's the case, there's no need to boast. However, there's one point. Only one of our empires can exist. Lin Han continued, 3 eagles, don't think that you can deal with us just because you joined forces with Longao. If anything happens to us, the first person to deal with you will be Longao. The 3 eagles weren't fools. They understood what the 2 were trying to say. Longao was too cunning and talented. Moreover, he had the backing of the Starry Sky Ruler. If the 2 empires really suffered heavy losses, then the first person to take action would undoubtedly be Longao. If that was the case, then how many people would be able to resist Longao? Whether it was the 3 eagles, Lin Han, or Wang Dao, they were all very afraid of Longao. They didn't underestimate him just because he hadn't broken through the limit of the Starry Sky Immortal realm. The 5 of them knew very well that as long as Longao had enough time, then Longao would definitely be able to destroy the first and second Starry Sky Empires. Thinking of this, the 3 eagles stopped talking. Even Lin Han and Wang Dao didn't say anything. Unknowingly, they seemed to have been played by Longao. Fortunately, Longao had left this time. If he was still here, then the first and second Starry Sky Empires might have already started fighting. At that time, Longao would just sit back and reap the benefits. The consequences would be unimaginable. Both sides looked at each other and saw the deep fear and apprehension in each other's eyes. Chapter 2367. The 3 eagles, Lin Han, and Wang Dao didn't fight. Instead, they sat down. Both sides were furious. If it hadn't been for this accident, they would have already started fighting. There would only be one result: Longao would reap the benefits. If we don't join forces, Longao will definitely deal with us in the future. With regards to Lin Han's intentions, how could the 3 space eagles not understand? If it had been before, they wouldn't have taken Longao seriously. But now, the situation was completely different. Longao's talent and strength were there for all to see. As long as there were no accidents, Longao would definitely be able to deal with all the Starry Sky Empires. When that time came, few people in the entire vast universe would be a match for Longao. The more they thought about it, the more serious they became. The more they thought about it, the more helpless and depressed they felt. If it had been before, the 3 eagles would have killed him without hesitation. But now, Longao had the backing of the Starry Sky Ruler. If they killed Longao, how would they deal with the Starry Sky Ruler? The 3 of them didn't care about Longao's life or death. The only thing they were afraid of was the Starry Sky Ruler behind Longao. The Starry Sky Ruler was the true overlord of the vast universe. Even peak Starry Sky Immortals were nothing in front of the Starry Sky Ruler. What do the 3 of you think? Lin Han and Wang Dao's intention was simple. They wanted to join forces with the 3 eagles to get rid of Longao. They wanted to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. As things slowly developed, Lin Han and Wang Dao gradually realized that their real enemy wasn't the number 1 Starry Sky Empire, but Longao. It was still the same sentence. Longao's talent and potential were too terrifying. They couldn't guarantee how far Longao would grow in the future. Seeing the 3 space eagles remain silent, Wang Dao said helplessly, "Guys, I know what you are worried about, but have you ever thought about the possibility of Longao having Space Ruler behind him? If Longao really did have Space Ruler behind him, would he have waited until now?" Ren Ying's face was solemn as he said, "We can't gamble. If we lose, we will be consigned to eternal damnation." How could Lin Han and Wang Dao not know the intentions of the 3 from Starry Sky? He despised the 3 of them in his heart. However, since things had already come to this, the 2 of them did not fall out. If it was in the past, the 2 of them would not have continued to stay and dilly-dally with the 3 of them. What do the 3 of you think? Without the help of the 3 of them, the 2 of them would be very worried. If he were to deal with Longao and the 3 Space Eagles were to stab him in the back, the 2 of them and the Empire would be in big trouble. Right at this moment. Sky Eagle waved his hand and said, "Lin Han, Wang Dao, the 3 of us agree. We will work together to deal with Longao." Hearing this, the 2 of them were overjoyed. Just like that, the 5 of them instantly reached an agreement. In this way, the 5 peak Starry Sky Immortals, the 5 most powerful people in the vast Starry Sky besides Space Ruler, once they joined forces, the result was obvious. However, the 5 of them were almost certain that Longao was definitely not in the Soaring Dragon realm now. Just like that, the 5 of them decided to deal with the Soaring Dragon Empire first because the 5 of them were very clear that as long as they controlled the Soaring Dragon Empire, they would gradually control Longao. At that time, they could do whatever they wanted. But the result? With the protection of Xiling and Long Qiong's Chaos Tablet, even if the 5 of them worked together, they would not be able to break the seal of the Soaring Dragon realm. It would be a lie to say that they were not shocked. This was because the 5 of them were extremely confident. With their strength, they could easily break through the seals of any realm if they worked together. But the result? The more it was so, the more shocked the 5 of them were because Longao was really a variable. What should they do? The 5 of them did not choose to give up because they were very clear that Longao was unpredictable. Wanting to catch Longao was like looking for a needle in a haystack. The only way was to deal with the Soaring Dragon Empire and then deal with Longao. Sky Marshal Continent. Long family, under the ancestral house. The primal Chaos Rock thought for a moment and finally agreed. Just as Longao had guessed, after being sealed for so many years, the primal Chaos Rock could not wait to leave. As long as the conditions did not cross the bottom line, the primal Chaos Rock would choose to agree. The divine mathematician laughed in his heart. The divine mathematician did not care whether the primal Chaos Rock lived or died or whether it would be sealed. The only thing Master God Diviner cared about was whether or not he could control the chaos power within the Chaos Stone Tablet. If he could control the power of chaos within the primal Chaos Stone Tablet, coupled with his ability to calculate the grade of the tablet, then he was fully confident that he could truly become the number 1 person in the vast universe from then on. Even if others could control the power of the primal Chaos Tablet, they would still not be his match. That was what the divine mathematician was most concerned about. "Rock, I only have one request. As long as you can help me obtain the primal Chaos Tablet, I can let you go. From then on, our enmity will be written off. How about it?" Strictly speaking, this request of the divine mathematician wasn't the slightest bit excessive. In the past, the primal Chaos Rock definitely wouldn't have agreed. As a proud member of the rock race, how could it be threatened by a human? But now the situation was completely different. The primal Chaos Rock had been sealed for countless years, and it no longer wanted to be sealed. It knew that with the divine mathematician's power, it would be extremely difficult for it to break the seal and leave this place. However, the primal Chaos Rock was even more clear on one thing. If the divine mathematician really did control the primal Chaos Tablet, then it definitely wouldn't be his match. No one could guarantee that the divine mathematician wouldn't turn against it once it obtained the primal chaos tablet. If that was the case, how could it deal with him? It would definitely die without even a chance to regret it. His face was very serious. Longao, who was standing to the side, instantly guessed the primal chaos rock's misgivings. However, Longao certainly didn't want the primal chaos rock to help the divine mathematician control the primal chaos tablet. If that was the case, then no one would be a match for the divine mathematician. However, Longao was also very clear that his spiritual awareness was useless at this time. Everything depended on the primal chaos rock's choice. Even if the primal chaos rock agreed, there was nothing he could do. Time passed little by little as the primal chaos rock pondered. The divine mathematician didn't speak, just watched quietly. Longao didn't speak either. Chapter 2368. 3 whole days passed. Master God Diviner was very patient and didn't rush him. He'd waited for so many years. A few more days wouldn't make much difference. Master God Diviner, I can agree, but you have to agree to 2 conditions. Speak. Master God Diviner was overjoyed when he heard the rock agree. As long as he could control the chaos energy within the chaos tablet, he would agree to any condition the rock came up with. The first condition is that you must swear a blood oath that once you control the chaos energy within the tablet, you will never attack me. Never. No problem. To Master God Diviner, this wasn't a problem at all. Because of this, Master God Diviner agreed without hesitation. As long as he could control the chaos energy within the tablet, he would agree to any condition without hesitation. The rock sneered in its heart. The second condition is that once you control the chaos energy within the tablet, you must become my subordinate. Master God Diviner wasn't the only one who couldn't accept this condition. Even Longao was a little shocked. Neither Master God Diviner nor Longao had ever imagined that the rock would make such a condition. Suppressing his anger, Master God Diviner said coldly, "You're playing with fire, primal chaos great rock. If you piss me off, I'll kill you even if I have to use the primal chaos power of the stone steelies." The rock sneered and said mockingly, "Master God Diviner, there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. If you want to get what you want, you have to pay the price. What do you think?" Of course, this was true. Everyone knew this, but the rock's condition was a pain in the ass. If Master God Diviner chose to submit to the rock, then what was the point of controlling the chaos energy? "Rock, I can't agree to this." "Fine. You can choose not to agree to this condition, but you have to agree to the replacement condition. Otherwise, there's no need to talk about this." Master God Diviner didn't agree, but he didn't refuse either. If it were anything else, he would have agreed without hesitation. All for the sake of smoothly obtaining the chaos energy within the tablet. Only this. If the rock could change this condition, it wouldn't be a bad thing. From beginning to end, Longao didn't say a word. "Master God Diviner, if I help you obtain the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos stone steely, you have to promise me 3 things in the future, no matter what." 3 things? If it were anything else, Master God Diviner would definitely agree. Only the matter of the primordial rock. Because no one knew what the 3 things that the chaotic giant rock mentioned in the future were. What should he do if the primordial rock asked him to commit suicide? Master God Diviner's face grew darker and darker. The primal chaos rock didn't say anything further. After all, he was pretty sure that Master God Diviner wouldn't agree to the terms he had just offered. However, there was still a 50% chance that Master God Diviner would agree. The cave fell into silence. A hole within a hole. "Longao, do you think I can agree with the primal chaos rock?" Longao didn't want God Diviner to agree with the chaos big rock. If he did, that would mean the chaos big rock would help God Diviner obtain the chaos power inside the chaos tablet. This was something Longao absolutely didn't want to see happen. Helplessly shrugging his shoulders, Longao said, "Senior, forgive me for speaking bluntly, but the reason the chaos big rock is doing this is to suppress you. If it helps you obtain the primal chaos energy, then in the future, any one of these 3 things would be unacceptable to you. But because of the blood oath, You have no choice but to accept them. This was what Master God Diviner was most worried about. It was precisely because of this that Master God Diviner hadn't agreed. He very much wanted to obtain the chaos power within the Chaos Stone Stele, but he also knew how serious this matter was. Seeing that Master God Diviner didn't agree, Longao continued, Senior, let's not talk about the three things for now. If the Chaos Big Rock asks you to commit suicide, would you be willing? Master God Diviner nodded in agreement. You're right. It seems that negotiating with the Chaos Big Rock won't work. Master God Diviner was helpless to the extreme. He had thought that Longao would have a way to help him subdue the Chaos Big Rock. He hadn't expected that even Longao wouldn't have the slightest idea. If that was the case, then even if Longao continued to stay, it would be useless. Longao, if there's any progress, I'll come find you. All right. Longao didn't tarry at all. He immediately left the cave. He had come in a hurry, not knowing what had happened between the First and Second Starry Sky Empires. After all, he had stayed for a long time. If the two Starry Sky Empires saw through his intentions, then things would become troublesome. So he had to return as quickly as possible. Looking at the ancestral house, Longao still felt a bit of lingering fear. Fortunately, he had brought his family away from the Martial Heaven continent. Otherwise, if something had happened to the Chaos Big Rock and Master God Diviner, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Soaring Dragon Empire. Tens of millions of soldiers from the First and Second Starry Sky Empires were guarding the Soaring Dragon Empire. As long as the seal of the Soaring Dragon Empire was broken, then there was no doubt that tens of millions of Starry Sky cultivators would crazily rush into the plane. At that time, the Soaring Dragon Empire would be unstoppable. After all those who had obtained the primal Chaos Stone Tablet, including Xiling, hadn't really refined it. So no one could resist the joint attack of the First and Second Starry Sky Empires. In the distance, Longao, who had returned safely, of course knew what had happened. According to his guess, if there were no accidents, his plan should have been seen through. In that case, whether it was the First or Second Starry Sky Empires, they would definitely be furious. They would want to eliminate the root of the problem, so they would choose to deal with his empire. His bottom line was his empire. This point, the First and Second Starry Sky Empires were very clear. As long as they controlled his empire, it would be equivalent to grabbing his throat. At that time, if they wanted to kill him, it would be a matter of minutes. Thinking of this, Longao's face turned ugly. Fortunately, he had rushed back. Otherwise, if the First and Second Starry Sky Empires joined forces to break the seal of his empire, the consequences would be unimaginable. Endless anger. Longao clenched his fists tightly. He looked coldly at the tens of millions of people in front of him. Unknowingly, the Chaos Axe had appeared in his right hand. There was only one word in his heart: kill, 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 kill. Chapter 2369. Today, Longao's cultivation had smoothly broken through to Starry Sky legend. What kind of concept was that? Not to mention others, even if it was a Starry Sky immortal, Longao could still fight, unless he encountered a peak Starry Sky immortal or a Starry Sky ruler. Holding the primal Chaos Axe, Longao was obviously angry, directly applying Starry Sky mastery to the primal Chaos Axe. Longao's speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, the axe arrived. Longao used all his strength to hack at the crowd. Too fast. The speed was simply too fast. No one thought that someone would come up from behind and attack crazily. It was impossible to fight head-on, let alone a sneak attack. The axe in Longao's hand was like a killing machine, crazily hacking. A large number of space cracks began to appear around. It was too terrifying. Some people didn't even have time to react before they were swallowed by the space cracks and disappeared without a trace. Seeing this situation, everyone was completely dumbfounded. When they saw the real face of the person who came, everyone already knew what had happened. Longao was back. One move killed tens of thousands of people, including a Starry Sky legend. Such strength was simply crazy. No one was not afraid of death. Everyone began to retreat, because Longao's madness was well known. At that time, he was only a starry sky cultivator, but he dared to fight against an empire stronger than him. This in itself already explained everything. Longao did not give up. This time the First and Second Starry Sky Empire joined forces. If he came back late, the seal would be broken, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, Longao was like an erupting volcano. Even he himself could not control himself, to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, to prevent future troubles. Anyway, his plan had been discovered by the First and Second Starry Sky Empire. Even if he stopped this time, he believed that the two great Starry Sky Empire would not let it go. Longao could even be sure that after this matter, the two great Starry Sky Empire would definitely join forces to deal with him. In that case, why should he continue to endure? Only kill. At this moment, Longao could not care so much. Anyway, it was already like this. Even if it completely fell out, he would not hesitate. Since it was already like this, only by annihilating the First and Second Starry Sky Empire would he be able to calm down. Longao did not even use his Starry Sky Corpse slave. He personally attacked. The primal chaos axe in his hands, almost no one could stop it. Everyone was shocked as they watched in disbelief. Longao was this strong? If they didn't see it. 5 Pinnacle Universe Undyings and tens of other Universe Undyings weren't present, because no one knew when Longao would return. When the people who had received the news returned, they were also deeply shocked by what they saw. Sky. Was. Sky. 2. The only explanation was that Sky Emperor had gone mad. Even if Longao's cultivation level increased, he was still a Starry Sky Legend. The gap between Starry Sky Legend, Starry Sky Undying, and Starry Sky Undying was huge. It was almost impossible for Longao to annihilate the First and Second Starry Sky Empire. The 5 were not angry. Instead, they were pleasantly surprised. They searched high and low, only to find it by chance. They had been looking for traces of Longao, because with Longao's talent and potential, no one knew if Longao would break through the limit of Starry Sky Immortal Realm. If that was the case, the First and Second Starry Sky Empire would be finished. Because of this, the 5 of them had already thought that they must kill Longao at the fastest speed. Only in this way could they save a lot of trouble for themselves. Thinking up to this point, the 5 of them brought dozens of Starry Sky Undying as they charged towards Longao. Sky Eagle sneered and said, "Longao, there is a path to heaven but you don't want to take it. There is no door to hell but you barge in. Today, you can forget about leaving here alive. Not only you, even your empire will die with you." Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Everyone laughed crazily. Each and every one of them laughed shamelessly, because everyone seemed to have already seen that Longao would die. On the other hand, would Longao be afraid? From the beginning to the end, Longao did not have the slightest fear. After all, he had already shed all pretense of cordiality with the two great Starry Sky Empires. He did not care whether he lived or died. Moreover, Longao was fully confident that a few peak Starry Sky Immortals could not kill him. Not to mention Starry Sky Immortals, he was not even afraid of Starry Sky Rulers. Taking 10,000 steps back. Even if his strength was not enough to fight against Starry Sky Undying and Starry Sky Undying, he still had the Chaos Palace. No one could stop him from entering the Chaos Palace, and no one could lock onto the location of the Chaos Palace. It could be said that as long as he had the Chaos Palace, no one in the entire universe could kill him. This was the power of the Chaos Palace. Longao did not say anything. His answer was the Chaos Axe in his hand. He kept on smashing it towards the dozens of people. Once an expert struck, one would know if he was the real deal. No one took Longao seriously. No matter what, Longao was just a Starry Sky Legend. He had not even reached Starry Sky Undying. If that was the case, any one of them could easily kill Longao, let alone teaming up. But the result? The result was completely different from what they had imagined. Not to mention any one of them, even if all of them teamed up, they would not be able to kill Longao. This was because Longao had only used his first move. The super strength that Longao had displayed was a little too abnormal. Spatial cracks appeared in the surroundings. Everyone was shocked because the news of Longao being able to shatter the starry sky had already spread throughout the vast starry sky. It would be a lie to say that they were not afraid because everyone was very clear about what the spatial cracks meant. One by one, they scattered. If Longao's cultivation could continue to break through and reach the so-called starry sky undying realm, then even starry sky undying experts might be killed. Even so, Longao could still kill starry sky undying experts with the help of the Chaos Axe and starry sky mastery. Chapter 2370. Catcher. One of the Undying didn't have time to dodge and was hit by the Chaos Axe. With a crack, this universe Undying was already half dead from the smash. Before he could react, he was swallowed by the space cracks around him. Ah! Seeing what had just happened, everyone was completely dumbfounded. They couldn't believe that with just one move, Longao had smoothly killed a starry sky Undying. It was a little inconceivable. The five-peak star Undying retreated and looked at Longao in shock. Was what had just happened real? They didn't continue to attack. The five didn't attack either. Both sides looked at each other coldly, as if they were afraid of each other. As for the others, they stood around and watched Longao kill the Undying star Undying. Longao, you're really shameless. You want to watch from the sidelines. As expected. Longao had guessed that both sides knew about his plan. If it wasn't for the godly mathematician, the two empires would have already started a war. Longao was very clear about what it meant to start a war. If the two empires started a war, he could just sit back and reap the benefits. But all of this was ruined because of the godly mathematician. He didn't come earlier or later, but at that moment. He had missed such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and now the two starry sky empires had joined forces to deal with him. You live and I die. It's normal. I want to kill you, and if I'm not wrong, you want to kill me too. What Longao said was true. In the vast universe, it was either you die or I die. This was the cruelty of reality. If you don't do this, you won't be able to survive in the universe, and you won't know when you'll reach the end of your life. How could the five not know this? So what if they knew? Life and death was a very normal thing. Lin Han sneered and said coldly, Longao, we can give you a chance now. As long as you agree, we'll forget about what happened before. How about it? Longao didn't say anything. He also wanted to hear what Lin Han had to say. Seeing that Longao did not speak, Lin Han said, our conditions are very simple. As long as you and your empire choose to submit to our subsidiary empire from now on and submit to us forever, we will let bygones be bygones. If it was before, the five of them would have definitely killed Longao. But now, the situation was completely different. The strength Longao had just displayed was too powerful, killing a starry sky Undying in one move. No one knew if Longao could kill a peak starry sky Undying. It was better to be safe than sorry. If Longao really had the strength to kill a peak starry sky immortal, then things would be troublesome. No one was unafraid of death, including peak universe Undyings. It was normal for them to be afraid of death. No one was willing to meet force with force, because the five of them had never thought that Longao's strength would be so strong, to such an extent. Hearing this, Longao laughed. He had seen shameless people before, but he had never seen such shamelessness. The shamelessness of these five was unrivaled. They were afraid of him, but they didn't want to leave any future troubles, so they came up with this method to make him submit. In this way, it didn't matter whether he died or not. Did the five of you sleep last night? What did this mean? The five of them did not answer because they did not know what Longao wanted to say. What did he mean by those words? Longao smiled and said, I already guessed that you all must have slept last night. Otherwise, how could such a beautiful dream come true? So that was it. The five of them instantly understood Longao's meaning. Although they were angry, they still didn't dare to act rashly. Because there was no need to mention Longao's strength, especially that move of his that shattered the starry sky. If they were swallowed by the starry sky crack, the consequences would be unimaginable. It would be a lie to say that they weren't afraid. What should they do? The 5 of them knew Longao's character very well. Just now, they were just imagining things. If Longao was a person who would compromise easily, then Longao wouldn't have come to this point. The 5 people's faces were very gloomy, as ugly as they could be. Because they didn't dare to act casually, but they also didn't want to give up easily. They were in a dilemma. Longao's talent was too strong. In such a short time, not only did his cultivation break through from a Starry Sky Supreme Expert to a Starry Sky Legend, but his strength was also so strong. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. Seeing the expressions on the 5's faces, Longao instantly understood their meaning and sneered in his heart. Are the 5 of you afraid? Without waiting for the 5 to speak, Longao continued, I will remember what happened today. In the future, I will personally go to the 1st and 2nd Starry Sky Empires and destroy them. Longao's meaning was very simple. If there was a grudge, there would be a grudge, and if there was a grudge, there would be a complaint. The 5's faces instantly turned gloomy. If it was the previous Longao, the 5 of them wouldn't have taken him seriously. But now, the situation was completely different. Today, Longao's cultivation had broken through to the Starry Sky Legend realm. No one knew when Longao would break through to the Starry Sky Immortal realm, or even the limit of the Starry Sky Immortal realm. The 5 of them were almost certain that if Longao's cultivation broke through to the Starry Sky Immortal realm, or even the limit of the Starry Sky Immortal realm, then there was no doubt that in the entire vast Starry Sky, except for the Starry Sky Ruler, no one would be a match for Longao. At that time, whether it was the 1st or 2nd Starry Sky Empires, they would all be destroyed. What do the 3 of you think? Earth Eagle and Human Eagle both looked at their big brother. Lin Han and Wang Dao had already decided that no matter what happened, they would kill all of them and eliminate all future troubles. They would not leave any trouble for themselves. Now, as long as Sky Eagle nodded, there was no doubt that the 5 of them would join forces. When that time came, Longao would have a hard time resisting them in a 1 versus 5 situation. Although he had the help of the Starry Sky Realm and the Chaos Axe, after all, the gap between their realms was too big. If Longao's cultivation could continue to break through from the Starry Sky Legend realm to the Starry Sky Immortal realm, then there was no doubt that Longao wouldn't be afraid of the Starry Sky Immortal realm, and he would even be able to fight the limit of the Starry Sky Immortal realm. However, Longao was even more aware that it wouldn't be easy for him to break through from the Starry Sky Legend realm to the Starry Sky Immortal realm, unless he encountered a fortuitous encounter. Sky Eagle pondered for a moment, but still couldn't make a decision. Longao's strength just now was too strong. If there was an accident, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Sky Eagle was very afraid of Longao and Longao's shattered starry sky. Chapter 2371. Big Brother. Sky Eagle sighed in his heart. Just when the 5 of them didn't know what to do, the situation suddenly changed. Longao didn't retreat at all. Instead, he took the initiative to attack. Before he arrived, the Chaos Axe in his hand had already slashed out. A terrifying force came out. Before the 5 of them could react, many spatial cracks appeared around them. They were shocked. Of course, the 5 of them knew the seriousness of the situation. They didn't dare to be careless and immediately began to dodge. Where is he? Looking at Longao, who had disappeared in front of them, the 5 of them were completely dumbfounded. They had already guessed where Longao had gone. If nothing unexpected happened, Longao had taken the initiative to attack just now. It was completely a diversion in order to smoothly enter the Soaring Dragon Empire. There was no hesitation. The 5 of them immediately began to attack the Soaring Dragon Empire. However, the result was the same. Even if all of them joined forces, they couldn't break the seal. The 5 of them had a gloomy face. It was as ugly as it could get. Within the Soaring Dragon Empire, Longao had just returned, and everyone surrounded him, talking all at once. It was a mess. Longao was very unhappy. He dispersed everyone and went to find his big brother. He went straight to the point and said, "Big brother, The situation outside is very dangerous. I believe you already know. If that's the case, immediately make arrangements. No matter who it is, no one is allowed to leave the Empire. Of course, Longying knew the seriousness of the situation. Seventh brother, don't worry. I have already passed down the order. No matter who it is, as long as they take half a step out of the Empire, they will be killed without mercy. Seeing Longao's serious face, Longying said, Seventh brother, I know the situation is very unfavorable for us. However, you don't have to worry. With the seal, it won't be easy for the First and Second Starry Sky Empire to break the seal. How could Longao not know what his big brother meant? Although there was the seal of Long Qiong and Xiling's Chaos Stone Tablet, it wasn't impossible for the two Starry Sky Empire to break the seal. What if? In this world, there was always a what if. If the five Pinnacle Universe Undyings really broke through the seal and barged in, then the entire Empire would be in a terrible situation. If that happened, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. What should he do? No matter how much he thought about it, he could not come up with a good idea. Longao knew very well that if someone could refine the Primal Chaos Tablet and become a Starry Sky ruler, it would be extremely easy to deal with the two great Starry Sky Empires. It was something that could be done in minutes. But the biggest problem now was that no one could refine the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet in such a short period of time. He felt helpless. It was very depressing. Most of them were at a loss of what to do. Because whether it was the First or the Second Starry Sky Empire, their individual strength was too strong, especially when they joined forces. It was easy to imagine what kind of power they would have. Seventh brother. Big brother, what's wrong? She was very surprised because Longying had never seen her seventh brother like this. Seventh brother, instead of sitting here and waiting for death, we might as well take the initiative to attack, not knowing that the two Starry Sky Empires have joined forces to deal with us. Take the initiative to attack. What did Big Brother mean? Big Brother, the difference in strength between us is too great. If we were to act rashly, it would be very disadvantageous for us. If they could take the initiative to attack, Longao wouldn't be so serious. If it was any other Starry Sky Empire, then so be it. Only the 9 great Starry Sky Empires, they were all the strongest empires in the vast universe. If he had another 100 years, he might be able to. But now, he obviously wasn't their match. Longying, however, smiled. Seventh brother, we have the Space Corps slave army, and an ancient Heaven Corps slave. That way, the Space Corps slave army can definitely deal with the two great Starry Sky Empires. The Space Corps slave army was indeed powerful, and the best way to deal with the two great Starry Sky Empires. However, Longao was still a bit uneasy. Because the matter was simple, what he truly feared were the 5 Pinnacle Universe Undyings, including the 10s of them. As for the others, he didn't even put them in his eyes. Longao was very clear that if he didn't kill the 5 Pinnacle Universe Undyings, then no matter how many he killed, it would be useless. Just one Space Undying Corpse slave? That didn't seem to be enough. Longao did not hide anything either. He spoke about what he thought in his heart in full detail. However, Longying wasn't worried at all. Instead, she said calmly, Seventh brother, I've thought about this matter. With the Space Corps slave army's strength, we can definitely trap the two great Starry Sky Empires, including the 5 Pinnacle Universe Undyings. Longao didn't speak, only listening quietly. What we need now is time. As long as we can stall for time, we'll have enough time to prepare. Longao instantly understood what his big brother meant. His big brother's meaning was very simple. He wanted to use the Space Corps slave army to stall the two great Starry Sky Empires and buy time for his empire. This way, once he and his empire developed, whether it was the number 1 or number 2 Starry Sky Empire, they wouldn't be his match. Since things were already like this, there was no other way. Thinking about this, Longao nodded in agreement and said, Big brother, I'll leave this matter to you. I want some peace and quiet. No problem. Longying was very clear that his 7th brother was too tired during this period of time. Anyway, the Space Corps slave army was under Longying's control. She could mobilize the entire Space Corps slave army at any time. Half an hour later, everyone from the First and Second Starry Sky Empires was still frantically breaking the seal. They hoped to break the seal sooner and invade the Empire to destroy it. However, the result was that even when the two great Starry Sky Empires joined hands, they still couldn't break the seal and invade the Empire. Just when the five of them didn't know what to do, figures began to rush out from the soaring Dragon Empire. At a glance, there were people everywhere. The Space Corps slave army had at least millions of Space Corps slaves, while the First and Second Starry Sky Empires only had tens of millions of Space Corps slaves. Even if one of them fought against 10 Space Corps slaves, the Space Corps slaves wouldn't have the slightest fear. With their immortal bodies, the tens of millions of people from the two great Starry Sky Empires were no match for the Space Corps slave army. This was without a doubt. Everyone in the vast starry sky knew about Longao's Space Corps slave army. Because of this, when they saw the densely packed Space Corps slaves swarming out, whether it was the 3 Starry Sky Eagles, Lin Han, or Wang Dao, they were a little dumbfounded. How would they dare to meet force with force? Chapter 2372. Millions of Starry Sky Corps slaves began to attack the two great Starry Sky Empires. What kind of concept was this? 1 against 10, with the strength and immortality of the Starry Sky Corps slaves, it was a piece of cake. Whether it was the 3 Eagles, Lin Han, or Wang Dao, they were all very depressed. Longao obviously did not have the strength to fight back, but he summoned an army of Starry Sky Corps slaves. It was simply shameless to the extreme. However, the 5 of them had no other choice. They could not break the seal, they could not enter the Empire. In this case, they could only watch Longao hide in the Empire and not come out. Retreat. Without any other choice, both sides chose to retreat. Whether it was the First or Second Starry Sky Empires, they were very clear that with the strength and immortality of the Starry Sky Corps slaves, they would definitely die if they continued to fight like this. For a gentleman to take revenge, 10 years is not too late. The First and Second Starry Sky Empires frantically retreated, and in a short while, they disappeared without a trace. All the Starry Sky Corps slaves disappeared. Long Ying's figure suddenly appeared. She coldly looked at the people who had disappeared and said to herself, "You will regret this." Soaring Dragon Empire. Back Mountain Forbidden Area. Longao was alone, thinking quietly. Now, his family members were all in seclusion to refine the Chaos Stone Tablet in the shortest time and become a Starry Sky ruler. Only his big brother was not in seclusion. The real reason why he was not in seclusion was to hide from the outside world and not to arouse suspicion. He was very helpless. Now, the most important thing was to think of a way to deal with the First and Second Starry Sky Empires. Otherwise, the two great Starry Sky Empires would not let it go. It would always be a problem. How to deal with it? The First and Second Starry Sky Empires were too strong. The Empire's strength alone was not a match for the two great Starry Sky Empires. The more he thought, the more dignified he became. The more he thought, the more helpless he felt. A few minutes later. 7th brother, the First and Second Starry Sky Empires have all left, but the two great Starry Sky Empires will not let it go. We still have to be careful. How could Longao not know what his big brother meant? He nodded. Big brother, as long as we have the Corps slave army, as you guessed, the First and Second Starry Sky Empires will not come easily. Long Ying's face was very solemn. She sighed deeply and said helplessly, 7th brother, you don't know. I'm not worried about them. I'm only worried about one thing. That is, the two Starry Sky Empires will join forces with the other 7 Starry Sky Empires. That will be troublesome. In the vast starry sky, there were a total of 9 powerful Starry Sky Empires. They were the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th Starry Sky Empires. The 9 Starry Sky Empires could be said to be the overlords of the vast starry sky. Not to mention the 9 Starry Sky Empires joining forces, even a random Starry Sky Empire would be difficult to deal with. If it was really as Big Brother had guessed, then this matter was indeed very troublesome. When the 9 great Starry Sky Empires joined forces, the Starry Sky Cultivator army would come in an endless stream. The millions of Starry Sky Corps slave army was far from enough. Seeing seventh brother not speaking, Long Ying could also be considered depressed to the extreme. It's true that what you fear will come true. Big brother, even if the first and second Starry Sky Empires want to join forces with the other 7 Starry Sky Empires, the other Starry Sky Empires will not agree. After all, the 9 Starry Sky Empires have been fighting openly and secretly for so many years. Seventh brother, I know what you mean. If it's something else, maybe they won't. But to deal with us, I'm afraid the other Starry Sky Empires will choose to compromise. Long Ying was very clear in her heart that her empire was developing too fast, so fast that it was a bit abnormal. She would be lying if she said that she was not afraid. Long Ying could almost say that the 9 Starry Sky Empires, no matter which one of them was, were very afraid of her empire and wanted to destroy it. Because of this, the probability of the other 7 Starry Sky Empires joining forces with the first and second Starry Sky Empires to deal with her was too high. If it were her, she would probably do the same. There was no doubt about it. It was very helpless. Big brother, what should we do now? Today, Longao's mind was in a mess. After all, there were too many things, one after another, as if there was no end to it. Long Ying thought for a while and said, we should continue to seal the plain. Without our orders, no one is allowed to take half a step out. This way, we can still resist for a while. Okay. Big brother's idea was probably the only way now. Blindly defending did not seem to be a long-term solution. No matter what, once the 9 Starry Sky Empires joined forces, they would definitely go all out. If they did not destroy the Soaring Dragon Empire, they would not give up. This is the first thing to do. Secondly, we can't go on like this. Otherwise, we will be destroyed by the 9 Starry Sky Empires sooner or later. I have thought about it, and the only way is to take drastic measures. Take drastic measures? What does this mean? Before Longao could ask, Long Ying had already said, it's very simple to take drastic measures. The 9 Starry Sky Empires will definitely come to deal with us later. We can send 9 teams to attack the 9 Starry Sky Empires separately. We will not fight them head-on. When they return, we will retreat. When they leave, we will continue to fight. I don't believe that the 9 Starry Sky Empires will be able to take care of each other. Okay, big brother, we will do as you say. This idea was too good. This way, the 9 Starry Sky Empires would have some scruples. Longao stood up and said, Big brother, I will leave this matter to you. Don't worry. Longao was very helpless because this was not the way to go. Without enough strength, they would be beaten everywhere. They would not even have a chance to fight back. Especially when the 9 Starry Sky Empires joined forces, this matter would become more and more troublesome. They must not sit still and wait for death. There were only 2 ways now. The first way was to refine more Starry Sky Corps slaves. After all, just a few million Starry Sky Corps slaves was not enough to fight against the 9 Starry Sky Empires. The second way was to break through their cultivation at the fastest speed. If they could reach the Starry Sky Immortal Realm, they would not only be able to easily eliminate Starry Sky Immortal Realm experts, they could even fight against peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm experts. Chapter 2373. Helplessness. But even more helplessness. Although he had full confidence in his talent, he also knew that the higher the realm, the harder it was to break through. Especially now, breaking through from Legend to Star Sky Immortal. Longao calculated. If he wanted to break through from Legend to Star Sky Immortal, he would need at least a few decades. A few decades, the situation would change. By the time he broke through from Legend to Star Sky Immortal, it would be too late. This method did not seem to work. Other than that, there was only one other way, which was to refine more Star Sky Corps slaves. If it was someone else, it would be hard to do. Only Longao could do it easily. Because for Longao, refining Star Sky Corps slaves was simply a piece of cake. It could be done in a matter of minutes. The blood pool in the Primal Chaos Palace was a divine tool for refining Star Sky Corps slaves. Longao left the Soaring Dragon Empire, but he did not go anywhere. Instead, he went straight to the First Star Sky Empire. Want to deal with me? Longao had already thought it through. He would refine Star Sky Corps slaves from the First and Second Star Sky Empire. If the other 7 Star Sky Empires dared to join the battle, he would not be polite. Being merciful to the enemy was being cruel to yourself. This was the cruel reality. With Longao's speed, he reached the territory of the First Star Sky Empire in a few hours. The First Star Sky Empire was the most powerful empire in the vast starry sky. It ruled over many domains, at least a few million. Even with Longao's refining speed, he would not be able to refine Star Sky Corps slaves in less than a few trillion years. However, Longao did not want to refine many Star Sky Corps slaves. To deal with the 9 Star Sky Empires at the same time, he would need at least a few 100 million Star Sky Corps slaves. It was a bit difficult. According to his refining speed, he would need at least a few months, or even a few years. If he casually refined them, he would be able to refine them in the shortest time possible. However, in the current situation, he had to refine powerful Star Sky Corps slaves. If he were to refine Star Sky Cultivator Corps slaves, it would be useless. This was the greatest difficulty. Longao even calculated that if all the corpse slaves he refined were all at the same level as those at the Starry Sky Realm, legendary, or even immortal corpse slaves, then there was no doubt that the 9 great Starry Sky Empires would come looking for trouble. He would already be thanking the heavens if he didn't go looking for trouble. However, although this matter was simple to think about, it was incomparably difficult to actually carry out. They arrived smoothly. Longao's first stop was the headquarters of the First Starry Sky Empire. The first plane was also the largest plane in the vast universe. As the most powerful plane in the vast starry sky, it could be said that the first plane was full of powerhouses, including many Starry Sky powerhouses and Starry Sky legends. Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the Starry Sky legend realm. Killing Starry Sky legends and Starry Sky almighties was just a matter of minutes. Even if you beat the 3 Starry Sky eagles to death, they would never have thought that the person they wanted to kill was actually right under their noses. If the 3 Starry Sky eagles knew about this, they would definitely be angered to death. Longao did not hesitate in the slightest and immediately began to kill. The entire process of killing and refining took less than a few minutes. Longao knew very well that the current situation was very serious. The longer the delay, the more unfavorable it would be for the Empire. He must complete the refining of the Starry Sky Corps slave army as soon as possible and return smoothly. In the blink of an eye, a month passed quietly. Just as Longao and Longying had guessed, the First and Second Starry Sky Empire were very afraid of the Starry Sky Corps slave army, and they were also afraid that the other 7 Starry Sky Empires would stab them in the back. As a result, the 3 Starry Sky Eagles, Lin Han and Wang Dao, separately lobbied the other 7 Starry Sky Empires. The meaning was very simple. They wanted to join forces with the other 7 Starry Sky Empires to deal with Longao and the Soaring Dragon Empire together. In this way, there would be no worries and they could focus on dealing with the Soaring Dragon Empire. In the beginning, the 7 Starry Sky Empires were certainly unwilling, but the 5 of them certainly wouldn't choose to give up. The 7 Starry Sky Empires were certainly aware of the 5's worries. They were afraid that they would stab them in the back. The 7 Starry Sky Empires vowed that as long as the First and Second Starry Sky Empires dealt with Longao, they would never attack the 2 Starry Sky Empires. But would the 2 Starry Sky Empires agree? Without hesitation, the 2 Starry Sky Empires would certainly not agree. Just like that. Under the coercion and temptation of the 2 Starry Sky Empires, the 7 Starry Sky Empires had no choice but to reluctantly agree to join forces with the 2 Starry Sky Empires to deal with Longao and the Soaring Dragon Empire. The 9 Starry Sky Empires joining forces to deal with the Soaring Dragon Empire completely shocked the entire vast starry sky. Everyone knew what the 9 Starry Sky Empires meant. In everyone's opinion, if the 9 Starry Sky Empires joined forces to deal with the Soaring Dragon Empire, the Soaring Dragon Empire would definitely perish. Because this time, the 9 Starry Sky Empires almost sent out their entire army. There were hundreds of millions of people and all of them were experts among experts. The result? The result surprised everyone. Because no one thought that the 9 starry sky empires joining forces couldn't even break the seal of the Soaring Dragon realm, let alone destroy the Soaring Dragon Empire. Was this for real? No one believed it. Because everyone knew what the 9 starry sky empires meant. They were the most powerful starry sky empires in the vast starry sky. Not to mention the 9 starry sky empires joining forces, any one of them could easily cause chaos in the vast starry sky. Was the Soaring Dragon Empire really that powerful? In fact, anyone with a discerning eye could see that if the Soaring Dragon Empire really had the strength to contend with the 9 starry sky empires, they wouldn't have closed their doors. And no one could guess why the seal of the Soaring Dragon Empire could withstand the joint attack of dozens of peak starry sky immortals. It was simply unimaginable. Everyone was looking forward to it. They wanted to see what would happen next. Because the 9 starry sky empires had already declared that no matter what happened, they would destroy the Soaring Dragon Empire. Everyone could almost say that even if the 9 starry sky empires couldn't break the seal now, it didn't mean that they would never be able to. Once the seal was broken, the Soaring Dragon Empire would suffer. 1 against 9, the Soaring Dragon Empire couldn't resist at all. Not to mention the 9 starry sky empires joining forces, any random starry sky empire could easily destroy the Soaring Dragon Empire. Time. Now there was only one thing to wait for, and that was time. The 9 starry sky empires joining forces to destroy the Soaring Dragon Empire was only a matter of time. Everyone was waiting. As for the Soaring Dragon Empire being able to fight back, no one chose to believe it. Chapter 2374. Long Ying didn't sit and wait for death. Long Ying was clear that this wasn't the way to go. Because no one knew when the 9 great starry sky empires would break the seal. Once the seal was broken, the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking about this, Long Ying would occasionally send out the corpse slave army to fight the 9 great armies. The corpse slave army was known as the undead army, but this wasn't absolute. If the difference in strength wasn't too great, of course they wouldn't die. However, if the difference in strength was too great, then even the corpse slaves would be killed, this was without a doubt. The 9 great starry sky empires were most afraid of the corpse slave army. Because every time the corpse slave army was dispatched, there would be a bloody storm, the 9 great starry sky empires would suffer countless casualties. The 9 great starry sky empires working together had dozens of peak starry sky undyings. Other than the 12 starry sky rulers, in the entire vast starry sky, the strongest were the peak starry sky undyings. Dozens of peak starry sky undyings working together could shake the entire vast starry sky. And the result? Dozens of peak starry sky undyings working together couldn't even break the seal of Soaring Dragon Empire. If they didn't try it themselves, no peak starry sky undyings would believe it. This was something all the peak starry sky undyings hated. It was too embarrassing. But there was nothing they could do. Longao already knew about what happened in the Empire, because this matter had spread throughout the vast starry sky. There were very few people who could shake the 9 great starry sky empires. Soaring Dragon Empire was the first. However, Longao did not return because he only knew one thing. Even if he went back now, it would be useless. It would be of no use. Longao was very clear about one thing in his heart. He had to work harder and quickly refine more starry sky corpse slaves. The more he refined, the better it would be for himself and the Soaring Dragon Empire. After a month of refining, Longao had already refined millions of starry sky corpse slaves. Against a starry sky empire, millions of corpse slaves were more than enough. However now, the situation was completely different. Millions of corpse slaves were still far from enough. Keep up the good work. Longao still continued to kill the starry sky cultivators. However, there were too few starry sky powerhouses and starry sky legends. If all of them were to be refined into this starry sky corpse slave army, who knows how long it would take to refine them all. Exactly. Longao took a step back and chose to refine low-level corpse slaves. 1 month. Longao had never left. In any case, he was moving from one realm to another, constantly changing his destination. Gradually, the first Starry Sky Empire started to notice something was amiss. Many sects and empires were curious. Legends said that there was a mysterious person who kept assassinating, seemingly targeting the first Starry Sky Empire. Who was it? One should know that the first Starry Sky Empire was the most powerful empire in the vast starry sky. Not to mention others, even the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth and ninth Starry Sky Empire did not dare to provoke the first Starry Sky Empire. This was the strength of the number one Starry Sky Empire. No one dared to provoke them. Who actually dared to offend the first Starry Sky Empire? Of course, the first Starry Sky TTS, SSTTT STTTT TTS right. The first Starry Sky Empire had already guessed that the person who did this was from the so-called Soaring Dragon Empire. Who was it? Even the first Starry Sky Empire didn't know who this mysterious person was from the Soaring Dragon Empire. Could it be Longao? No matter who it was, daring to offend the first Starry Sky Empire was courting death. Hence, the emperor of the first Starry Sky Empire, Baihua, immediately ordered the entire empire to start killing the mysterious person. As the emperor of the first Starry Sky Empire, Baihua was also a very powerful Starry Sky Immortal, only one step away from officially becoming a peak Starry Sky Immortal. After dozens of days of searching, what made the first Starry Sky Empire feel very helpless was that they didn't even know the identity of the other party, let alone kill him. This was the most depressing thing for the empire. Such a thing had never happened from the beginning to the end. Baihua was furious. If they still couldn't find the mysterious warrior, then the empire's reputation would be completely lost. As long as they couldn't find the mysterious warrior, the first Starry Sky Empire would never have peace, causing everyone in the empire to be in danger, not knowing what to do. If this went on for a long time, it wouldn't be beneficial. With no other choice, Baihua could only pass the news to the three eagles in the starry sky because according to Baihua's guess, this matter was very likely done by Longao. If it was really like this, they alone would not be able to contend against Longao. The news of Longao killing a Starry Sky Immortal in one move had spread throughout the vast starry sky. Of course Baihua already knew. Because of this, he didn't dare to take the risk, because no one knew. If this was really the doing of Longao, then things would be troublesome, because in the entire Starry Sky Empire, besides the three old ancestors, no one was a match for Longao, not even Baihua. The 9 great Starry Sky Empires besieging the Soaring Dragon Empire received the news at the same time. If it was in the past, the other Starry Sky Empires would definitely gloat over the disaster that befell the Soaring Dragon Empire. But now, the other 8 great Starry Sky Empires didn't gloat over the misfortune of the Soaring Dragon Empire. The reason was simple, because the 9 great Starry Sky Empires were standing on the same front, because everyone knew that if Longao could deal with the first Starry Sky Empire, then he could deal with the second, the third, the fourth, and even the fifth Starry Sky Empire. That was exactly the case. Everyone was very dignified, not knowing what Longao wanted to do. Even if Longao was powerful, he was only one person, and the power of one person was always limited. It was simply a fool's dream to shake the Soaring Dragon Empire and the other 8 great Starry Sky Empires. Such a thing, not to mention Longao alone, even the 9 great Starry Sky Empires couldn't do it. No one in the 9 great Starry Sky Empires could figure out what Longao was trying to do. Was he trying to force the 9 great Starry Sky Empires to retreat? It was completely nonsense, because things had already turned out this way, and the 9 great Starry Sky Empires certainly wouldn't retreat. Chapter 2375. Big Brother, what should we do now? Longao was dealing with the number 1 Starry Sky Empire. Although the other Starry Sky Empire's peak immortal realm experts did not want to watch a good show, no one meddled. Everything depended on how the 3 Starry Sky Eagles would choose. Sky Eagle's face was very gloomy, as ugly as it could get. Because Heavenly Eagle also did not expect that Longao would play this move. What should they do now? Seeing that his big brother did not speak, Earth Eagle said helplessly, "Big brother, Longao knows that he is not our opponent. He has no choice but to do this to force us to go back. He nodded. Regarding Old Second's meaning, how could Heavenly Eagle not know? You are right. Longao is doing this for this reason. Big Brother, what should we do now? It's simple. The more Longao forces us to go back, the more we will not go back. Earth Eagle and Human Eagle seem to have guessed it and thought so too. Longao did this to force them to go back. If they really went back, wouldn't they fulfill Longao's wish? Before the two could speak, Sky Eagle said, "We have to break the seal of Soaring Dragon Realm as soon as possible. This way, only Longao will be left." Humph. Earth Eagle and Human Eagle laughed when they heard their big brother's words. The news of the 3 starry Sky Eagles ignoring them spread instantly. Anyone who heard the news was shocked. What was going on with the 3 starry Sky Eagles? Why did they choose to endure? They could not figure it out. They really could not figure it out. Were the 3 starry Sky Eagles afraid of Longao? It seemed to be nonsense. No matter what, the number 1 starry Sky Empire's strength was there. It was more than enough to deal with Longao. If Longao had the strength to fight against the 9 starry Sky Empires, he would have done it long ago. Why did he hide in Soaring Dragon Empire? Longao stirred up trouble secretly in order to force the number 1 starry Sky Empire to retreat. In the end, Longao was afraid. In that case, the first starry Sky Empire should have returned to kill Longao. Why stay? What does the number 1 starry Sky Empire mean? Was he ignoring Longao? Many people had already guessed that the first starry Sky Empire did not return to the Empire not because they were afraid of Longao, but because they chose to ignore him. First starry Sky Empire. Within a certain domain. Longao naturally knew that the news had already been sent back. However, he was not surprised that the 3 starry Sky Eagles had not returned. This was because Longao had already guessed that the 3 from Starry Sky would definitely not return. If it were him, he would have done the same. The reason was simple. Longao knew very well that the 3 starry Sky Eagles knew that even if they returned successfully, they would not be able to deal with him. It would be better for them to stay and continue to deal with his Soaring Dragon Empire. The more this was the case, the happier Longao was. Longao had full confidence in his empire's seal. Even if the 9 great starry Sky Empires joined forces, it would be difficult to break the plane's seal in a short time. Xiling and Long Qiong's Chaos Stone Tablet seal could only be broken by a starry sky ruler. In other words, unless the divine mathematician came, even other starry sky rulers would not be able to break the seal without truly refining the Chaos Stone Tablet. They could only enter smoothly. This way, he would have a lot of time to refine more starry Sky Corps slaves. In a few years, he believed that he could create tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of starry Sky Corps slaves. In this way, not to mention a random starry Sky Empire, even if the 9 great starry Sky Empires joined forces, he would not have to fear. The most important thing now was to refine more starry Sky Corps slaves in the shortest time possible. Longao continued to move and began to kill starry sky cultivators to refine even more starry Sky Corps slaves. Jen Wudi. Looking at the constantly flickering figure in the distance, Longao was very surprised. Although Jen Wudi did not obtain the Chaos Stone Tablet, he would not betray him. Whether or not Jen Wudi had been a member of the first Starry Sky Empire, Jen Wudi was now one of his people. He sincerely regarded Jen Wudi as a friend, but if Jen Wudi really betrayed him and betrayed the Empire, even if they were friends, he would do as he was told. Longao followed Jen Wudi all the way. Given his valiant strength, Jen Wudi could not detect Longao's aura at all. Just like that. First plane, First Starry Sky Empire. Longao watched Jen Wudi enter the First Starry Sky Empire with a gloomy expression. He had already guessed that Jen Wudi must hate him because he did not obtain the Chaos Stone Tablet. But could this be his fault? He had clearly given Jen Wudi a chance, but Jen Wudi had not taken advantage of it. If Jen Wudi had been willing to swear a blood oath, then the Chaos Stone Tablet would have been Jen Wudi's. Even so, Longao had never imagined that Jen Wudi would do this. No matter what, they were still friends, even brothers. Inside the Grand Hall, Hearing that Gen Wudi had returned to the Empire, Bai Hua was shocked because everyone knew that Gen Wudi had submitted to the Soaring Dragon Empire. If that was the case, then why did Gen Wudi suddenly return? If it was before, Gen Wudi's visit would have been fine. For Longao's sake, perhaps he would not have dealt with Gen Wudi. But the situation was completely different now. The First Starry Sky Empire and the Soaring Dragon Empire had completely fallen out. It had even reached a point where it was either you die or I die. Gen Wudi returning to the Empire at this time was completely suicide. But Bai Hua was also an old fox. He knew very well that Gen Wudi would not have come so easily if there was no reason. See you. Not long after, Gen Wudi quickly walked in. When he saw Bai Hua, he immediately knelt on the ground and bowed respectfully. Wudi greets your majesty. Just as Longao had guessed, Gen Wudi hadn't been able to successfully devour the primal chaos stone tablet. He hadn't tried to find the problem with Gen Wudi's body. Instead, he had started to hate Longao. If it were any other matter, Gen Wudi wouldn't have taken it to heart. However, the more Gen Wudi thought about the primal chaos stone tablet, the more he thought about it. In the end, Gen Wudi still couldn't resist the temptation of the primal chaos stone tablet. However, Gen Wudi was also very smart. He had already made a blood oath. He definitely couldn't reveal the matter of the primal chaos stone tablet. However, Gen Wudi couldn't swallow this anger. He even resented Longao. In this way, Gen Wudi wanted to kill Longao. However, with his strength, he definitely couldn't do it. The only way was to kill Longao. Blinded by the chaos stone tablet, Gen Wudi had made an irrational decision. Chapter 2376. Wudi, why are you here? Bai Hua was curious. He did not know why Gen Wudi was here. However, Bai Hua had decided that if Gen Wudi had nothing to do, he would not let him go back. No matter what. Gen Wudi was not from the First Starry Sky Empire but from the Soaring Dragon Empire. With the enmity between the Empire and the Soaring Dragon Empire, it would not be too much to kill Gen Wudi. How could Gen Wudi not know what Bai Hua was thinking? However, since he dared to come, he had thought of all the consequences. Your Majesty, although I have joined the Soaring Dragon Empire, my heart is still with the First Starry Sky Empire. I already know about the enmity between the Empire and the Soaring Dragon Empire. I have a way to help the Empire deal with Longao. As expected. Bai Hua was an old fox. Of course, he knew Gen Wudi's way. If Gen Wudi could really help him kill Longao, then it wouldn't be a problem to focus on cultivating Gen Wudi, or even to use Gen Wudi. Tell me about it. Bai Hua knew about Longao's strength and cunning. Otherwise, the 9 Starry Sky Empires and dozens of peak Starry Sky Immortals could not kill Longao and destroy the Soaring Dragon Empire. If he could kill Longao, it would solve a big problem for the Empire. Although he was anxious, Bai Hua did not show any expression on his face. Gen Wudi thought for a while and said, Your Majesty, Longao is not in the Soaring Dragon Empire but in the First Starry Sky Empire. As expected. Bai Hua was not surprised at all because Bai Hua had already guessed that Gen Wudi came this time to deal with Longao. What Bai Hua could not figure out was that Gen Wudi had joined the Soaring Dragon Empire and was considered one of Longao's men. If so, why would Gen Wudi want to deal with Longao? It did not make sense. Could it be that Longao wanted to deal with the First Starry Sky Empire? Wudi, what do you mean? Just say it. Bai Hua wasn't sure if Gen Wudi was real or fake. If he was fake, the Empire would be at a disadvantage. Gen Wudi said truthfully, Longao is here now. He seems to be refining a Starry Sky Corpse demon because the current Soaring Dragon Empire is no match for the 9 great Starry Sky Empires. Bai Hua didn't say anything. Gen Wudi continued, Your Majesty, I believe you know about the corpse slaves. He nodded. Bai Hua was very wary of the Starry Sky Corpse demon refined by Longao. If it weren't for the Starry Sky Corpse slaves resisting the 9 great Starry Sky Empires, the 9 great Starry Sky Empires would have already invaded the Soaring Dragon Empire. Until now. Bai Hua still couldn't figure out how Longao did it. How did he refine a starry sky corpse demon that could resist the 9 great starry sky empires? What kind of concept was that? If he could obtain the method to refine a starry sky corpse slave, then the first starry sky empire would be able to suppress the other starry sky empires. Thinking of this, Bai Hua laughed in his heart. Woody, what should I do to deal with Longao? If he could kill Longao and obtain all of Longao's secrets, it would be a great thing for the empire. The most important thing now was to locate Longao's position. Your Majesty, Longao still doesn't know about me. It's more than enough for me to lure Longao out. When the time comes, we'll catch a turtle in a jar. Jian Wudi didn't finish his words, but the meaning of his words was clear. Jian Wudi wanted to use himself as bait to lure Longao out. Then, he would use the first starry sky empire to deal with Longao. Jian Wudi knew Longao's character very well. As long as he didn't say anything, Longao would still treat him as a friend and brother. Bai Hua didn't know if Jian Wudi was sincere in helping him deal with Longao. However, Bai Hua wouldn't give up this opportunity so easily. Your Majesty, should we tell the ancestors that if the 9 starry sky empires join forces, we'll definitely be able to eliminate Longao? Everyone knew that Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the starry sky legend realm. He had once killed a starry sky immortal with one move. Jian Wudi was very worried because this was their only chance. If they missed this opportunity, it would be difficult to deal with Longao again in the future. How could Bai Hua not know what Jian Wudi meant? However, Bai Hua waved his hand and said solemnly, "Don't tell the 3 ancestors about this. I want to deal with Longao personally and give everyone a surprise." Surprise? Jian Wudi was no fool. He knew what Bai Hua meant. Bai Hua didn't want to give the vast starry sky a surprise. He wanted to intimidate the entire universe. After all, no one had been able to kill Longao for so many years, not even a peak starry sky immortal. If Bai Hua could kill Longao, Jian Wudi knew what it meant. But could Bai Hua do it? If Bai Hua could do it, why wait until now? Even the 3 starry sky eagles could not kill Longao, let alone Bai Hua. However, Jian Wudi did not say much. In this case, the more he said, the more mistakes he would make. Jian Wudi, if you can kill Longao this time, not only will you be allowed to return to the empire, but I'll also train you and put you in an important position. Thank you, Your Majesty. Jian Wudi didn't care. He only wanted to kill Longao because, in his opinion, Longao was clearly tricking him. He had let him devour the Chaos Tablet, but now he didn't let him. He didn't see Jian Wudi as a friend at all. Go and prepare. Tomorrow, we'll deal with Longao. Yes, Your Majesty. After Jian Wudi left, Bai Huateng stood up, turned around and left quickly. After a short while, he disappeared without a trace. In an extremely hidden secret cave. Bai Hua entered the secret cave and looked at the only stone statue in front of him. He knelt down and said, "Disciple Bai Hua greets the old ancestor." The old ancestor of the first empire in the starry sky. He was also a super expert who had established the first empire in the starry sky. It was rumored that the 9 old ancestors of the 9 great empires had all fallen after establishing the 9 great empires. As for why they fell, no one knew. A shocking scene happened. The stone statue didn't move. Suddenly, the stone statue slowly transformed into a person. It was a middle-aged man with a resolute face that seemed to have gone through the vicissitudes of life. However, he still looked cold. Bai Hua was pleasantly surprised when he saw the middle-aged man. Other than him, even the 3 eagles didn't know about the old ancestor. Strictly speaking, the 3 eagles weren't part of the Bai family, but the old ancestor's disciples. Chapter 2377. Bai Hua, what's going on? The old ancestor of the number 1 universe empire was called Bai Jing. He was also a peak space immortal. However, within the same level, there were differences in strength. Although the 3 space eagles had reached the true peak space immortal, there were still existences above it. Such existences were people like Bai Jing. Countless years ago, 9 people appeared in the vast space. They were the 9 old ancestors of the 9 great universe empires. The 9 of them all broke through the peak space immortal and reached the half-step space ruler level. From then on, they established the 9 great universe empires and dominated them. Half-step space ruler. Half-step space ruler, above the peak space peak, below the space ruler level. Half-step space rulers didn't devour the primal chaos tablet, but they had unlimited access to the primal chaos energy and didn't control it. The 9 people of the 9 great universe empires were all half-step space rulers. It could be said that, in the vast space, there were only 9 half-step space rulers. Among the 9 half-step starry sky rulers, Bai Jing was the strongest and most powerful cultivator in the starry sky. Moreover, she was the strongest under the starry sky rulers. The true number 1. Bai Hua obviously knew the old ancestor's strength. He also knew the reason why the old ancestor had disappeared for so many years. Even if the old ancestor's cultivation level had broken through, he still wasn't a true space ruler. The reason was simple. Because the old ancestor, including the other 8 half-step space rulers, hadn't devoured the primal chaos tablet. Without devouring the primal chaos tablet, they couldn't become a true space ruler. Old ancestor, it's like this. Bai Jing had made it clear that as long as the number 1 universe empire wasn't in a life and death situation, no one was to disturb him. Although Bai Jing hadn't obtained the primal chaos tablet after so many years, he didn't choose to give up. Bai Hua didn't dare to hide anything and told him everything in detail. From start to finish, Bai Jing didn't speak. He just listened quietly. One day later, Jian Wudi used a secret method to find Longao. Brother Jian, how did you find this place? Did something happen at home? In fact, Longao had already guessed it, but he didn't mention it. He wanted to see what Jian Wudi wanted to do. Although Longao had already guessed that Jian Wudi had betrayed him, he still wanted to give Jian Wudi one last chance. In the end, Longao was still unwilling to give up on this friend of his. Master, the 9 great starry sky empires have. Before Jian Wudi could finish his words, a laugh was heard. Wudi, since you have chosen to return to the empire, why waste your breath on him? Along with the laughter, Bai Hua suddenly appeared with countless people. At a glance, there were at least millions of people, including tens of thousands of starry sky immortals, starry sky legends, and starry sky almighties. What kind of concept was that? Without the slightest surprise, Longao appeared very calm. Wudi, I just want to know the reason. Since things had already come to this, Longao knew there was no turning back. He had already guessed that Jian Wudi's actions had something to do with the primal chaos stone tablet. If he had known, he wouldn't have told Jian Wudi about the tablet. Because Jian Wudi had made a blood oath, of course, he wouldn't say anything about the tablet. However, he still said coldly, Longao, since you already know, why ask me? You were the one who was heartless first, don't blame me for being unjust. So that's how it was. Longao's heart was pained. Unless it was absolutely necessary, he really didn't want to give up on Jian Wudi. However, since things had already come to this, Longao knew he had nowhere to go. He didn't continue asking, nor did he say anything. Turning to look at Bai Hua, Longao wasn't afraid at all. He smiled and said, Bai Hua, do you think you can keep me here? Longao's meaning was simple. Even the 3 starry sky eagles couldn't keep him here, much less Bai Hua. The current number 1 starry sky empire had no limit. Just relying on the current number 1 starry sky empire couldn't keep him here. Under such circumstances, Longao didn't even need to enter the primal chaos palace. Just relying on strength, no one could keep him here. This was confidence. How could Bai Hua and the others not understand Longao's meaning? The 3 starry sky eagles were the strongest in the number 1 starry sky empire. Even the 3 starry sky eagles couldn't kill Longao. Was there anyone in the number 1 starry sky empire that could keep Longao trapped? Everyone, including Jian Wudi, didn't know what Bai Hua meant. Since Bai Hua knew he couldn't kill Longao and couldn't keep him here, Why not wait a little longer until the news reached the soaring Dragon Empire and the 3 starry sky eagles returned to deal with Longao? That way, the chances of success would be higher. However, Bai Hua didn't do that. Was Bai Hua really that confident? He couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't figure it out. Bai Hua smiled and said indifferently, Longao, you are too arrogant. Do you really think you can compete with our number 1 starry sky empire? Others might believe that Longao had a starry sky ruler behind him, but Bai Hua didn't believe it. If that was the case, why would Longao go through so much trouble to destroy the number 1 starry sky empire and all the other starry sky empires? He could easily dominate the vast starry sky. And the result? Longao didn't do that at all. There was only one explanation, that was, Longao didn't have a starry sky ruler behind him. Longao deliberately did this to scare people. It was because of this that the number 1 starry sky empire wanted to join forces with Longao to deal with the number 2 starry sky empire. They didn't dare to do anything to Longao. However, the 3 starry sky eagles had already guessed that Longao didn't have a starry sky ruler behind him. Even if there was a starry sky ruler behind Longao, there was still something fishy about it. Otherwise, there was no way the starry sky ruler wouldn't help Longao. After all, it was almost impossible for Longao to dominate the vast starry sky and destroy the 9 starry sky empires with just Longao's strength alone. It was a complete fantasy. Longao laughed. Bai Hua, I can tell you clearly that you're not qualified to do so. If I want to leave, not just you, even if the 3 space eagles were here, they wouldn't be able to stop me. Ha 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 ha. With a heroic spirit, Longao raised his head and laughed maniacally. He didn't care about Bai Hua and the others at all. Just at this moment, Longao, aren't you a little too arrogant? A majestic voice suddenly rang out as a terrifying aura pressed down. Chapter 2378. Longao's expression changed abruptly. He could clearly sense the strength of this mysterious expert who had suddenly arrived. It was definitely not a starry sky ruler. Could it be a peak starry sky immortal expert? Longao was well aware of the strength of a peak starry sky immortal expert. It seemed impossible to suppress him with just one's aura. Who was it? Bai Jing's figure appeared instantly. Who was it? No one recognized Bai Jing, but everyone knew very well that the person who had just arrived was definitely not simple. His aura alone was enough to suppress everyone around. Greetings, Ancestor. Ancestor? Wasn't the Ancestor one of the 3 starry sky eagles? In that case, who was this person? Bai Hua was the emperor of the number 1 starry sky empire. He could be said to be the person with the most real power in the vast starry sky. He was a super figure who could shake the entire starry sky 3 times with a stomp of his feet. Yet now, Bai Hua was extremely respectful toward the man before him. It was as respectful as it could be. It was as if he was a grandson meeting his grandfather. No one knew what was going on. In short, if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. Bai Jing nodded, looked at Longao not far away, and said indifferently, Longao, you are a very remarkable person. I just want to ask you, do you really have a starry sky ruler behind you? Who are you? He didn't answer the other party's question because no matter what happened, he had to first figure out the other party's identity. Otherwise, everything else would be nonsense. Bai Jing. Bai Jing. Longao might not know much about Bai Jing, but that didn't mean the others didn't. Hearing the other party's self-introduction, everyone was shocked to the extreme. Shock was written all over their faces. This was unbelievable. Bai Jing, the founder of the number 1 starry sky empire, was also the strongest starry sky cultivator in the vast starry sky. She was known as the real number 1 person under the starry sky ruler. Longao didn't know who Bai Jing was. Seeing this, Bai Hua was furious. Before Bai Hua could speak, Bai Jing waved her hand and said with a smile, You haven't answered my question. Why should I answer you? Whether I have a starry sky ruler behind me or not, what does that have to do with you? Longao's answer shocked everyone in the surroundings once again. He had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen such an arrogant person. Listening to the discussions around him, Longao already roughly knew who Bai Jing, who had just descended, was. The super powerhouse who founded the first Starry Sky Empire, the true #1 person under the vast sovereign. Almost without guessing, Longao already knew what kind of strength the other party had. Peak Starry Sky Immortal Realm. There was no doubt about it. However, Longao still heard some discussions. The white crystal in front of him wasn't a peak Starry Sky Immortal, but a half-step Starry Sky ruler that was above the peak Starry Sky Immortal realm. It was only one step away from becoming a Starry Sky ruler. The crux of this step was the so-called Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. However, other than the 12 of them, there were also the 12 Chaos Stone Tablets that he had obtained. It was almost impossible for anyone else to obtain a Chaos Stone Tablet. Longao admired Bai Jing very much. Being able to establish the first Starry Sky Empire was already proof of this person's strength, especially when his cultivation had broken through to the half-step Starry Sky ruler. Such talent was enough to look down on the entire vast universe. Longao was almost certain that in terms of talent, even a Starry Sky ruler who had devoured a Chaos Stone Tablet might not be able to compare to Bai Jing and the other 8. Without devouring a Chaos Stone Tablet, Bai Jing and the other 8 were able to reach this level of cultivation. Such talent was terrifying. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. Longao was very clear about the other party's strength. Unless he hid in the Primal Chaos Palace, he wouldn't be a match for Bai Jing in terms of strength. Not to mention a half-step Starry Sky ruler, even a peak Starry Sky ruler wouldn't be a match for him. Seeing Longao remain silent, Bai Jing smiled and said, "Longao, I'll give you a chance. As long as you are willing to hand over the Chaos Stone Tablet, the grudge between you and the first Starry Sky Empire will be written off." The 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers of the 9 Starry Sky Empires naturally knew about the arrival of the Primal Chaos Plane and the 12 Chaos Stone Tablets. However, from beginning to end, the 9 of them didn't even take half a step into the Primal Chaos Plane. They didn't even pay attention to it. It wasn't that they didn't care about the Chaos Stone Tablets, but that they didn't dare to enter. If they were discovered by Master God Diviner and the others, not to mention devouring a Chaos Stone Tablet, they didn't even know if they could survive. A half-step Starry Sky ruler was still a half-step Starry Sky ruler, not a true Starry Sky ruler. If the 12 Starry Sky rulers wanted to destroy the 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers, it would be a simple matter. Was it worth it to lose their lives for a Chaos Stone Tablet? Definitely not. Moreover, the 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers knew very well that with Master God Diviner and the others guarding the Primal Chaos Plane, it would be a fool's dream for others to obtain a Chaos Stone Tablet. It was almost impossible. Indeed. From beginning to end, the 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers didn't care about the Primal Chaos Plane at all. Instead, they searched everywhere for other Chaos Stone Tablets, hoping to find one and then devour it to become a true Starry Sky ruler. However, Bai Jing never imagined that things would turn out like this. Master God Diviner and the others didn't obtain all the Chaos Stone Tablets. If that was the case, the 9 of them had a chance to obtain the scattered Chaos Stone Tablets in the vast Starry Sky. According to Bai Hua, this person in front of her had obtained 2 Primal Chaos Stone Tablets. Although Longao had personally said that the 2 Primal Chaos Stone Tablets had disappeared without a trace, and Bai Jing also believed that this was the case, she still wanted to give it a try. If she really managed to obtain a Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, then it would be like a meat pie falling from the sky. Longao smiled. Everyone looked at Longao and Bai Jing, wondering if Longao would be able to leave this place alive. There was no need to mention the strength of a half-step Starry Sky ruler. Unless the 12 Starry Sky rulers came in person, even if the other 8 half-step Starry Sky rulers came in person, they still wouldn't be able to protect Longao. If that was the case, then Longao would die without a doubt. Everyone shook their heads helplessly. Although they were enemies, Longao was indeed worthy of everyone's admiration. A puny rank 8 Starry Sky cultivator had fought his way up. In just a few years, he was able to contend against the 9 great starry sky empires. If it weren't for ancestor Bai Jing coming in person, Longao might still be safe. The 9 great starry sky empires still wouldn't be able to do anything. Chapter 2379. Of course, Bai Jing was confident in his own strength. Not to mention a mere universe legend, even a peak universe immortal wouldn't be able to escape from under his nose. Bai Jing, if I want to leave, even you can't stop me. Hearing this, Bai Jing laughed. Not only Bai Jing, but everyone around also laughed crazily. Longao was simply too shameless, daring to challenge the ancestor of the #1 universe empire. He didn't know what was good for him. But the next second, Longao disappeared into thin air. That's right, he disappeared right under Bai Jing's nose. Everyone was completely dumbfounded, not knowing what had just happened. No one knew how Longao did it. But one had to know. Bai Jing was a genuine half-step universe dominator, only one step away from officially becoming a universe dominator. With such strength, how could Longao disappear right under Bai Jing's nose? Although they didn't want to believe it, the truth was right in front of them. The truth was the truth, it couldn't be changed. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. Ancestor, I forgot to tell you, Longao has a space god tool. Even your 3 disciples can't lock onto this space god tool. Bai Jing was furious. If not for Bai Hua's identity, he would have already attacked. If he had known this earlier, he would have been prepared. But it was already too late. Bai Jing had been trying to lock onto Longao's position, but he still couldn't do it. In other words, Longao's space god tool was too terrifying, even he couldn't lock onto it. Was this true? Bai Jing, I will settle the grudge between us in the future. If I don't destroy your #1 universe empire, I swear I'm not human. He could only hear Longao's voice, but not see Longao's figure. What was going on? Bai Jing had never encountered such a thing. Not to mention a mere universe legend, even the other 8 couldn't do it. Bai Jing's face was gloomy, as ugly as it could get. Because even now, Bai Jing still didn't know how Longao did it. Did he really rely on a space god tool? It seemed a little ridiculous. Bai Jing's cultivation base had already broken through to half-step starry sky ruler. She was naturally very confident in her own strength. Unless it was a powerful starry sky divine tool like the primal chaos stone tablet, otherwise, how could Longao disappear into thin air with just a starry sky divine tool? Even he couldn't lock onto the other party's position. Soaring Dragon Realm. After news of the white crystals spread, the 9 grand starry skies all chose to stop attacking. The 3 starry sky eagles rushed back to the first starry sky empire as fast as they could because their master was still alive. This was a great news for the first starry sky empire. As long as Bai Jing was alive, she could completely suppress the other 8 empires and dominate the entire universe. The other 8 Empire Limits universe undyings were similarly shocked. Because they also knew the seriousness of the matter. Longao returned to the Soaring Dragon Empire smoothly, he was more or less relieved. If it wasn't for the Chaos Palace's help, he would have been killed by Bai Jing. It would have been impossible for him to return to the Soaring Dragon Empire. Longao, I heard that white crystals have appeared. As soon as Longao returned, Xiling rushed over impatiently and asked straightforwardly. He nodded. Towards Xiling, Longao did not have the slightest bit of concealment. He recounted the previous matter in full detail. Xiling, what's the origin of Bai Jing? Longao was well aware of how powerful Bai Jing was. He just couldn't figure out why the other 12 rulers didn't eliminate the 9 half-step rulers and kill them when they were so talented. Because if the 9 of them devoured the primal chaos tablets, their refining speed would be countless times faster than others. What kind of concept was that? How could Xiling not know what Longao meant? He thought for a moment and said, Longao, I don't need to say more about the 9's talents. I believe you already know. Back then, the 9 of them rose to power with unprecedented talent and created 9 grand starry sky empires, dominating the vast universe. Longao didn't say anything and just listened quietly. Back then, The 12 of us also thought of killing the 9 of them because we weren't sure if anyone could become a ruler without devouring the primal chaos tablets. Definitely not. Longao was almost certain of this point. He knew very well that there was only one way to become a ruler of the universe, and that was to devour the primal chaos tablets. Other methods were almost impossible. Since that was the case, why didn't the 12 of them kill the 9 half-step rulers? Since the 9 of them can't become a ruler of the universe no matter how talented they are, the 12 of us don't need to meddle in the affairs of the vast universe. However, Longao, although the 9 of them didn't devour the primal chaos tablets, their strength is infinitely close to ours. Even for us, it won't be easy to kill them. So that was the case. If that was the case, things would be troublesome. Even a ruler of the universe would find it difficult to kill a super existence. It wouldn't be easy for them to deal with them. Just as Xiling was about to say something, Yu Yin suddenly walked in from outside. She looked very anxious, as if something important had happened. Yu Yin, what's the matter? Longao was very curious. He didn't know what had happened to Yu Yin. Did something happen to the family? It seemed impossible because he had full confidence that even Bai Jing would not be able to break the seal of the soaring dragon bit wall for the time being. Brother Long, Sister Aoshue is about to give birth. Ah! Aoshue was about to give birth. Hearing Yu Yin's words, no matter if it was Longao or Xiling, they were both completely stunned. Ever since Ao Shui became pregnant, she still hadn't given birth to a child. No one knew why. Take me there quickly. Longao was extremely surprised. He didn't expect to be a father soon. Xiling, Yu Yin, and Longao immediately rushed to Aoshue's courtyard. The 3 of them arrived in the blink of an eye. She's giving birth, she's giving birth. She's giving birth. Why couldn't they hear her crying? It turned out that the child knew how to smile and not cry when he was born. Not only that, but there were more shocking things to come. Aoshue held the newborn child in her arms with a loving look on her face, while Longao sat by the bed with a surprised look on his face. He had already guessed that his child was definitely not simple. When he was in Aoshue's belly, he had already broken through to the Starry Sky Cultivator realm. However, he still did not expect that the newborn child's cultivation would directly reach the Starry Sky Legend realm. Chapter 2380. Star Sky Legend. Sensing the terrifying aura released by the child, everyone was completely stunned. Especially Longao. He never would have thought that his child's cultivation would be on par with his when he was just born. Because after so many years of cultivation and moments of life and death, his cultivation had finally reached Star Sky Legend. Comparing oneself to others, one would die from anger. But Longao was really happy, because the stronger his son was, the more excited he was. Brother Long, the child doesn't have a name yet. Right. Longao turned to look at Long Haoshe and said, Grandfather, you name the child. Long Haoshe shook his head and smiled, you do it. Since his grandfather said so, Longao didn't hold back. At this moment, almost everyone was present, even those who had swallowed the primal chaos tablet chose to come out. Although refining the primal chaos tablet was important, compared to the child, it was insignificant. What should he name the child? Longao was very clear that his child was definitely not ordinary. To be able to break through Star Sky Legend as soon as he was born, in the entire vast universe, his son was probably unprecedented. Finally, the child's name was Long Yun. Not only that, the child's growth speed was extremely fast. In a few days, he was bigger than other children in a few months. Long Yun was the joy of the entire Soaring Dragon Empire, especially Long Haoshe and Long Yi. The 3 of them simply treated Long Yun as their lifeblood. For their grandson, great-grandson, the 3 of them didn't even choose to go into closed-door cultivation, because to them, it didn't matter when they refined the primal chaos tablet, the most important thing was to accompany Long Yun. Longao, let's put the child's matter aside for now. Your whereabouts have been exposed, and the primal chaos tablet has already left the primal chaos plane. I believe that Bai Jing and the others will want to capture you and force you to tell them about the primal chaos tablet. My primal chaos tablet has already left on its own. Xiling gritted his teeth. With a solemn expression, Xiling said helplessly, Longao, you're oversimplifying things. So what if someone can testify for you? Before Longao could speak, Xiling continued to say, even if they know that the chaos tablet you obtained left on its own, you can still obtain chaos tablets. I believe you know what that means. Longao already knew what Xiling meant. If nothing unexpected happened. Since he was able to obtain the primal chaos stone tablet the first time and the second time, he would definitely be able to obtain the primal chaos stone tablet the third or fourth time. If that was the case, he would be in big trouble. Not to mention white crystals. He believed that the other half-step starry sky rulers would also come looking for him. Longao's expression turned solemn. If someone could become a starry sky ruler, then they wouldn't need to fear a half-step starry sky ruler. But now, of all the people who had devoured the primal chaos tablets, including Xiling, who had already refined a second primal chaos tablet, none of them had been able to truly refine the primal chaos tablet and become a ruler of space. If that was the case, things would become very troublesome. What should he do? Thinking back and forth, for a moment, Longao also could not think of a better way. Xiling, what do you think I should do now? Xiling's expression was solemn. If she was at her peak, she wouldn't need to fear a half-step starry sky ruler. But now, even she didn't have the slightest idea of what to do. Longao, Long Chong's primal chaos tablet and mine won't be able to hold for long. According to my guess, if nothing unexpected happens, white crystals will be able to break the seal in less than a month. If 9 half-step starry sky rulers act at the same time, they'll be able to break the seal that Long Chong and I set up together in 10 days. Then we'll be in trouble. Whether it was 10 days or a month, it didn't make much of a difference to him. In the entire vast universe, only one person could suppress 9 half-step starry sky rulers, and that was the godly diviner. Would the godly diviner help him? Longao was sure that if he went to find the godly diviner, there was no doubt that the godly diviner would help him. However, he would definitely repay this favor in the future. Xiling didn't say anything, because she didn't know what to do at this time. The number 1 Starry Sky Empire. The 3 Starry Sky Eagles returned smoothly. When they saw their master, the 3 of them were pleasantly surprised to the extreme. They couldn't believe that their master was still alive. If that was the case, then the entire vast universe would belong to the number 1 Starry Sky Empire. After all, under normal circumstances, the Starry Sky rulers wouldn't intervene in the matters of the vast universe. Master. The 3 of them bowed respectfully. The 3 of them could be said to be the true experts of the vast universe. However, standing in front of their master, the 3 of them didn't even dare to breathe loudly, because the 3 of them knew very well what a half-step starry sky ruler meant. Get up. In the beginning, white crystals felt very uncomfortable. The 3 disciples she was most proud of couldn't even deal with Longao. Moreover, the 9 starry sky empires had to join forces. If they could kill Longao, it would be fine, but she didn't expect that they would end up empty-handed. But now, white crystals wasn't angry at all, because even she couldn't trap Longao. This in itself showed how heaven-defying the starry sky god tool Longao had. Thank you, Master. The 3 of you, tell me, why couldn't the 9 starry sky empires break the seal of the soaring dragon realm? White crystals couldn't figure it out because Longao's strength was only at the starry sky legend realm. It was almost impossible for him to fight against the 9 starry sky empires. The 3 starry sky eagles didn't dare to hide anything. They knew their master's temper very well. If they hid anything and their master found out, they wouldn't even have the chance to explain. As the leader, Sky Eagle was the first to explain everything in detail. In fact, the 3 space eagles did not know what was going on with the seal of the soaring dragon dimension. They did not know why the 9 great starry sky empires' dozens of peak starry sky immortals could not break the seal of the soaring dragon dimension even when they joined forces. They couldn't figure it out. They really couldn't figure it out. After listening, white crystals didn't say anything. The 3 starry sky eagles also didn't dare to say anything. They just stood aside quietly. White crystals also couldn't figure out why couldn't the soaring dragon realm's seal be broken by the combined forces of dozens of starry sky immortals. Under normal circumstances, it should be impossible. What was the reason? Haven't the three of you thought about the reason? Sky Eagle thought for a while, as if there was something he couldn't say. Say it. Master, according to my guess, if there are no accidents, this should be related to the starry sky ruler. Otherwise, it's impossible. Chapter 2381. Astral Dominator? Bai Jing's only fear was the 12 cosmic rulers. He had already heard that Longao was backed by a starry sky ruler, so this was basically a fact. If that was the case, things would be very troublesome. Regarding Sky Eagle's intentions, Bai Jing already knew. If there were no accidents, being able to withstand the joint attack of the 9 great starry sky empires and dozens of peak starry sky masters meant that the seal of the soaring dragon bitwall was arranged by the starry sky ruler. In that case, let alone a peak starry sky immortal, even a half-step starry sky ruler wouldn't be able to break the seal. Bai Jing's face was very gloomy. It was as ugly as it could get. Ancestor, what should we do now? The 3 starry sky eagles certainly knew what their master was worried about. If it was really as they guessed, then it was almost impossible to break the seal of the soaring dragon bitwall. He would not give up until he killed Longao. Not only that. What the 3 starry sky eagles were truly worried about was Longao's talent. Longao's talent was there. There was no doubt that if he was given enough time, he would definitely grow up in the future. At that time, no one would be able to match him. If you don't remove the roots when you cut the weeds, they will grow again when the spring breeze blows. No matter who it was, they all knew this very well. If it were just them, this matter would be very difficult to handle. Fortunately, their master had returned. As a half-step starry sky dominator, their master was only 1 step away from becoming a starry sky dominator. Perhaps he would have a way to deal with the soaring dragon empire. I'm going to the soaring dragon empire. Yes, master. Bai Jing was not sure if the seal of the soaring dragon bitwall was set up by the starry sky ruler. If it was not, she would have missed such an opportunity. If that was the case, he would think of another way. The 12 dominators of the starry sky were the dominator of the 5-element starry sky, the dominator of the devouring starry sky, the dominator of the lightning starry sky, the dominator of the space starry sky, the dominator of the time starry sky, the dominator of the destruction starry sky, the dominator of the reincarnation starry sky, the dominator of the slaughter starry sky, the dominator of the divine calculation starry sky, the dominator of the sword will starry sky, the dominator of the immortal tyrant body, and the dominator of the darkness starry sky. According to Sky Eagle, the starry sky ruler behind Longao was very likely the starry sky ruler. As for whether it was true or not, it was still unknown. Bai Jing had already thought about this. Taking a step back. If Longao really had the divine mathematician behind him, then he might not be able to deal with Longao. If Master God Diviner were to make a move, the empire would be finished. 12 astral dominators. Any one of them could easily destroy the 9 great starry sky empires. A half-step starry sky ruler was always a half-step starry sky ruler, not a true starry sky ruler. The gap between the two was too big. Not to mention 1 half-step starry sky ruler, even if 9 half-step starry sky rulers joined forces, they still wouldn't be a match for 1 starry sky ruler. Soaring Dragon Empire. Because of the birth of the child, Longao was happy for a short while. He immediately began to think alone. Now that the situation was critical and Bai Jing appeared at this time, she would definitely not give up. She would do everything she could to deal with him. According to Xiling, once Bai Jing arrived, it would take at most a month for her to break the seal. By then, no one in the entire Soaring Dragon Empire would be able to fight against a half-step starry sky dominator. He had to think of a way to deal with Bai Jing as soon as possible. No matter how much he thought about it, he still couldn't think of a good idea. What should he do? In the courtyard. Big brother, our current situation is very serious. Why don't we move to another place and give Bai Jing and the First Starry Sky Empire an empty city strategy? At that time, Bai Jing would definitely be angered to death. Long Qiong had begun to refine the Chaos Stone Tablet, but it wasn't easy to become a starry sky ruler. But at this time, the situation was very serious. How could Long Qiong continue to cultivate in seclusion? Long Ao knew Long Qiong's meaning very well. For now, this was the best way. He was almost certain that if there were no accidents, Bai Jing would definitely come and try to see if she could break the seal of the Soaring Dragon Realm. Once broken, it would be a devastating blow to the Soaring Dragon Empire. At that time, they wouldn't even have the chance to regret. The 9 great starry sky empires almost dominate the entire vast starry sky. Especially under such circumstances, we can't move the entire empire without anyone knowing. It was very troublesome. If it was possible, Long Ao wouldn't have such a headache. Even the Chaos Palace couldn't do it without anyone knowing. In this case, the only way was to take his family away. But to give up the empire, he couldn't do that. Long Qiong knew his big brother's character very well. Even if he took the risk, he would never choose to give up the Soaring Dragon Empire. Persuasion was unnecessary. Because of this, Long Qiong didn't try to persuade him at all. Instead, he tried his best to think of a way to share the burden of his big brother. He wanted to see what could be done to resist Bai Jing and the First Starry Sky Empire. Big brother, this time only Bai Jing came. The other 8 half-step starry sky rulers of the other 8 great starry sky empires are nowhere to be seen. If we can find them, we can sow discord. Waving his hand, before Long Qiong could finish, Long Ao said, "That's impossible. The 8 of them have reached the peak of their cultivation. Unless it's a chaos tablet, it's impossible to make them kill each other. As for the others, it's almost impossible." The 9 of them had all broken through the half-step starry sky ruler realm. They were only 1 step away from the legendary starry sky ruler realm. The only way now was to devour the chaos tablet. Only then would they have a chance to become a starry sky ruler. For the 9 of them, other things were no longer important. The most important thing was to become a starry sky ruler and devour the chaos tablet. The chaos tablet he had obtained had all been devoured by others. Even if someone was willing to use the Chaos Tablet as bait, Long Ao would never agree. He couldn't take this risk. It wasn't easy to hide from everyone. If he relaxed a little and was discovered by the Oracle and the others, it would be like chasing away the tiger and attracting the wolf. It was a nonsensical matter. This won't do. We have to think of another way. Did he really have to find the Oracle? Unless it was a last resort, Long Ao really didn't want to find the Oracle. What he owed now, he would have to pay back in the future. Even now, Long Ao still didn't know whether the Oracle was a friend or foe. If he was an enemy, then things would be very troublesome. After thinking about it, Long Ao finally chose to give up. It was better to rely on oneself than on others. He didn't even fear a starry sky ruler, so what was going on? In the end, it was because he was worried about his own people. If he was alone, then not to mention Bai Jing, even if the 9 of them joined forces, he wouldn't be afraid. Chapter 2382. Grandfather, you're looking for me? Long Ao was very surprised that his grandfather suddenly came to find him. He didn't know what his grandfather wanted. Long Haosha nodded and said with a smile, "Ao, sit." Long Ao didn't have the slightest courtesy. No matter how upset he was very indifferent to his grandfather. "Ao, I came to find you this time to ask you, how is the situation?" How could Long Ao not know what his grandfather wanted to ask? Tell his grandfather? Long Ao definitely wouldn't tell his grandfather the truth. He didn't want his grandfather to be worried. Not only would he not tell his grandfather, he wouldn't even leak any information to others. He would bear it alone. However, before Long Ao spoke, Long Haosha continued, "Ao, you don't need to hide anything from me. If you hide anything, I will personally go out to investigate." Long Ao was very clear about what kind of person his grandfather was. If he didn't say anything, his grandfather would really go out. If that was the case, Long Ao was very afraid that something would happen to his grandfather. If that was the case, He would feel guilty for the rest of his life and wouldn't be able to explain it to himself. There was really no other way. Longao shrugged helplessly. There was really no other way, so he explained everything in detail. After listening, Longao lowered his head and pondered. Grandfather. He waved his hand. Seeing his grandfather lowering his head and pondering, Longao didn't say anything and didn't get up to leave. Just like this, time passed bit by bit. After an unknown amount of time, Longao finally raised his head and said, I know what you mean. Listen to your grandfather, 10 years is not too late for a gentleman to take revenge. We should withdraw from the Soaring Dragon Empire first. In the future, when we have the Starry Sky ruler, not to mention White Crystal, even if the 9 great Starry Sky empires join forces, they won't be our match. Longao already knew what his grandfather meant. If there was another way, Longao would definitely not choose to leave. However, there was no way to avoid it now. If he didn't leave, the entire empire would be in danger. With the Chaos Palace, he could enter, his family could enter, but what about others? Longao wouldn't give up on the empire. He had no other choice. Longao finally nodded and said, Grandpa, I know what to do. I'll go prepare now. Hearing that his grandson had finally agreed, Longao heaved a sigh of relief. He smiled helplessly. Victory and defeat are common in war. Grandfather, I understand. After sending Longao off, Longao prepared to make his move. There was only one way to do this without anyone noticing, and that was to borrow the power of the Primal Chaos Palace. Within the Primal Chaos Palace, the current Primal Chaos Palace was more than capable of accommodating hundreds of thousands of people. However, it was impossible for it to accommodate more people. Although he hadn't truly grasped the Primal Chaos Palace, Longao was very clear that the size and power of the Primal Chaos Palace was closely related to his control. If he could control the Primal Chaos Palace, then not to mention hundreds of thousands of people, even millions, tens of millions, or hundreds of millions of people would not be a problem. It was precisely because of this that Longao appeared to be very helpless and even more irritated. This was because it was almost impossible to take away the entire Soaring Dragon Empire with the help of the Primal Chaos Palace. At most, they could only accomplish 1% of it. What kind of concept was that? 99% of the people had to stay. If that was the case, once Beijing massacred everyone, how would he explain it to the empire? However, there was no other way. Since things had already come to this, he couldn't delay any longer. The longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Let's move a batch first. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't selfish. Longao was also a human, and humans were all selfish. Driven by selfishness, Longao prepared to move all his family members out. At this rate, it would take at least 100 times to move all of them. Longao brought everyone from the Long family, including those who had obtained the Primal Chaos Tablet, Xiling, and Long Qiong, into the Primal Chaos Palace. Just as Longao was about to leave, the situation suddenly changed. Longao discovered that Beijing had indeed arrived. At this time, it was almost impossible for him to leave without anyone noticing. If it was in the past, or if he was alone, Longao wouldn't have the slightest bit of worry. Not to mention a half-step Starry Sky Dominator, even a true Starry Sky Dominator wouldn't be in his eyes. As long as he was in the Primal Chaos Palace, nothing would be a problem. However, the problem now was that he couldn't fail, and he couldn't be discovered by Beijing and the others. Otherwise, once Beijing was prepared, how would he deal with it? However, Longao was still prepared to take the risk. If he continued to stay, who knew what would happen? He couldn't waste too much time. What he feared would happen. As soon as Longao left the Soaring Dragon realm, he was locked onto by Beijing. He had to admit that Beijing's strength was really strong. The 3 Starry Sky Eagles, Lin Han, Wang Dao, and the others couldn't lock onto Longao's position. Longao, you want to leave? So what if I do? Seeing Longao so calm, Beijing was very depressed in his heart. If it was a head-on clash, of course he was not afraid of Longao, because not to mention his strength, even his own 3 disciples could easily deal with the other party in a matter of minutes. But what was the result? Longao didn't want to fight him head-on. This was the key. In this case, no matter how strong they were, they couldn't kill Longao. After all, Longao had a starry sky divine tool. Not to mention his 3 disciples, even he couldn't lock onto the other party's starry sky divine tool. He was very angry, but there was nothing he could do. Longao, if you are a man, then fight with me fairly. You and I will fight one-on-one. If I lose, not to mention me, even the entire number 1 starry sky empire will be given to you. But if you lose, I will not take your life, as long as you agree to 2 of my conditions. How about it? Without waiting for Longao to speak, Bai Jing added, don't tell me you don't dare. The 3 starry sky eagles laughed crazily. Their laughter was full of contempt and ridicule because they certainly knew what their master meant. It was nothing more than forcing Longao to fight with them head-on instead of hiding in the starry sky divine tool. Everyone around had a look of contempt because they were all from the 9 great empires. Everyone knew what was going on. Bai Jing was a legendary figure and also an idol in many people's hearts. He was a half-step starry sky dominator above the limit of the starry sky immortal realm. Bai Jing had created too many legends countless years ago. Chapter 2383. Bai Jing, the true number 1 under the universe ruler. Countless years ago, a total of 9 talented superfigures appeared in the vast universe. In a few hundred years, all 9 of them broke through and became half-step universe rulers. The 9 of them created 9 great universe empires and dominated the vast universe. Among the 9 people, Bai Jing was the most powerful one. Would Longao dare to accept the challenge? Not just Longao, even the other 8 didn't dare to casually accept the challenge. Bai Jing's strength was there was no doubt about it. Accepting the challenge meant death. Accepting the challenge meant death. Unless Longao's brain was damaged or he wanted to die, he wouldn't choose to accept the challenge. Everyone already knew that Longao had a spatial divine tool that could make him disappear at will. Even a half-step starry sky dominator couldn't lock onto him and break it. Such a spatial divine artifact was too terrifying. Even Bai Jing was very wary of this starry sky divine tool. Would Longao accept the challenge? Everyone was waiting. Even though they knew that Longao would not accept the challenge, there were still many people who wanted to see how this newly risen heaven's pride would be dealt with by the White Crystal legend. Bai Jing and the 3 space eagles, including Lin Han and Wang Dao, didn't make a move. They all watched Longao. As for Lin Han and Wang Dao, as well as the peak universe immortals of the other empires, they all felt helpless and depressed. The number 1 universe empire was already very strong. Now that Bai Jing had appeared, the other 8 empires couldn't compete at all. Provoking the number 1 universe empire was suicide. All the experts of the 8 empires working together weren't Bai Jing's match. Longao wasn't afraid at all. He knew what Bai Jing meant. Provocation. She wanted him to accept the challenge and deal with him. As for Bai Jing's 2 conditions, Longao didn't need to ask to guess. If nothing unexpected happened, once he lost, Bai Jing would ask about the primal chaos tablet. Bai Jing's cultivation had already broken through to half-step universe ruler. She didn't care about anything except the primal chaos tablet. The reason was simple. This was because only by devouring the primal chaos tablets could White Crystal borrow the power of the primal chaos tablets to become the ruler of the universe. Everyone was looking at him. Should he accept the challenge? Fight? Or not? Bai Jing was a genuine half-step starry sky ruler. If Luo Yunyang accepted the challenge, he would most likely die. After all, Longao knew his own strength very well. Skipping levels to fight. Even if he could kill a starry sky immortal with his current strength, it was almost impossible for him to contend against a peak starry sky immortal or a half-step starry sky ruler. Ha ha ha, Longao, it seems like you're afraid. Big brother, don't force Longao. He is a coward. Sky Eagle and Earth Eagle mocked each other. If it were anyone else, They would only have two choices. One was to die, and the other was to escape. Bai Jing, you and I can fight, but what I want is fairness. Heh! Longao was really going to accept the challenge? Hearing Longao's words, everyone was completely stupefied. Even the three starry sky eagles and Bai Jing were similarly shocked because no one had guessed that Longao would really accept the challenge. Wasn't that the same as suicide? Longao was crazy. However, the people of the 9 great cosmic empires all hoped that Longao would die. However, the situation was completely different now. With Bai Jing's appearance, the other 8 empires were already suspicious. If they weren't afraid of Bai Jing, they might have already retreated. Bai Jing's deterrence was just too great. Bai Jing smiled and said, "Sure. As long as Longao chose to accept the challenge, no matter what the conditions were, Bai Jing would basically agree to them." It was still those same words. He didn't care about Longao's life or death. The only thing he cared about was the primal chaos stone tablet. As long as he could devour the tablet, he would even give up the number 1 cosmic empire he had built. In his heart, the primal chaos tablet was number 1. Bai Jing, take 3 of my moves. If you can take them, I can agree to any of your conditions. However, if you can't, not only will the number 1 cosmic empire have to choose to submit to me, even you will have to choose to submit to me. How about it? Longao, who do you think you are? How dare you bargain with Master? You don't know what death is. Hearing Longao's shameless boasting, the 3 eagles were completely enraged. They were furious to the extreme. They had seen their master's strength with their own eyes. With just Longao's strength, he wasn't their master's opponent. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. If their master accidentally lost a move, then they would be in big trouble. The number 1 cosmic empire, including their master, had all chosen to submit to Longao. It was obvious what this meant. What did this mean? If they agreed, then their master would really be a fool. Would their master agree? Bai Jing waved her hand to stop her 3 disciples from continuing to speak. She sneered and said, "Longao, you and I are both smart people. No need to dilly-dally. I will not agree to your conditions." "Won't agree?" Longao smiled and didn't say anything. He just smiled. The other people of the Starry Sky Empire were looking down on Bai Jing because they knew why Bai Jing didn't dare to agree. He was afraid that Longao would cheat him. Under normal circumstances, with Longao's strength, even if he cheated, with Bai Jing's strength, he could choose to ignore it. But what was the result? Bai Jing didn't dare to agree. He had just tried to provoke him into a fight. Now, he was unwilling. Bai Jing's image instantly collapsed in everyone's mind. Was this the legendary Bai Jing? They were very disappointed. However, the other 8 cosmic empires certainly hoped to see Bai Jing make a fool of himself. No matter what, Bai Jing wasn't one of the 8 cosmic empires. He was the ancestor of the number 1 cosmic empire. He had single-handedly created the number 1 cosmic empire. Longao. Not willing to listen to Bai Jing continue, Longao laughed coldly. He had a face full of mockery as he said with disdain, "Bai Jing, I have also heard of your legend. Indeed, hearing about you is not as good as meeting you in person. If not for this meeting, I would have found it hard to believe that you are the legendary person in the legends." Bai Jing sighed heavily. The 3 eagles were instantly enraged. However, since their master didn't say anything, they didn't dare to say anything. They really couldn't figure out why their master didn't agree. Was it because their master was afraid of Longao? If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe it. Chapter 2384. Master's strength was needless to say. The true number 1 person under the Starry Sky ruler. Among the 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers, Master's strength was the strongest. If it were the other 8 half-step Starry Sky rulers, Master would be afraid. But Longao, wasn't this making a mountain out of a molehill? They couldn't figure it out. The 3 Starry Sky Eagles couldn't figure out what was going on with Master. However, the 3 Starry Sky Eagles still didn't dare to speak. Bai Jing was furious, but she didn't show the slightest difference on her face. She was suppressing the anger in her heart. The more Longao acted like this, the more Bai Jing was afraid. Because Bai Jing knew very well that Longao wouldn't act like this easily if he didn't have full confidence. After receiving the news, Bai Jing had a general understanding of Longao. Longao was an anomaly. In just a few years, he could grow to such a level. Was it just luck? She wouldn't believe it even if she was beaten to death. Intuition told Bai Jing that Longao must have a killing move. If she lost, she wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Not only her, the #1 Starry Sky Empire, even she would have to submit to Longao. Seeing Bai Jing remain silent, Longao shook his head mockingly and said, "Since you don't dare to accept the challenge, then I won't accompany you. Goodbye." Wait. She directly ignored him. Longao didn't take Bai Jing's words seriously. Others might be afraid of Bai Jing, but Longao didn't take her seriously. With a swoosh. Without a sound, Longao disappeared without a trace. Bai Jing's face was gloomy and as ugly as it could be. Seeing Bai Jing's ugly face, no one dared to say anything. Everyone did their own thing. Some people even hid far away. Because the current Bai Jing was like a volcano that could erupt at any time. Provoking Bai Jing at this time was completely asking for trouble. Not to mention others, even the 3 Starry Sky Eagles didn't dare to breathe. After an unknown amount of time, Bai Jing said coldly, "Everyone, withdraw." Ah! What did this mean? The 9 Starry Sky Empires finally joined forces. If they missed this opportunity and gave Longao enough time to breathe, when Longao became strong enough, no one would dare to make a move. "Master, should we all withdraw?" Of course, the 3 Starry Sky Eagles were unwilling. They had spent a lot of effort to gather the 9 great Starry Sky Empires to deal with the Soaring Dragon Empire. Would they give up just like that? Bai Jing was confused by her anger just now. Of course, she knew that she couldn't let things go this way. He couldn't guard this place all the time. If he couldn't break the seal, then he would have to rely on the other 8 star empires. If the 8 Starry Sky Empires to withdraw, then it would be. She calmed her mind. "Everyone, stay to guard." Bai Jing's figure disappeared. She had lost a lot of face this time. If she continued to stay, she would become a laughingstock in the eyes of others. After Long Sky Emperor Sky Empress. Emma Head. His counter-challenge just now was actually a psychological battle with Bai Jing. He wasn't completely sure if Bai Jing would agree to his challenge. During this period of time, Longao had been asking about Bai Jing. In this way, he was ready to try his counter-challenge. However, he didn't expect that he was right. Bai Jing was a suspicious person. The more he was like this, the more Bai Jing didn't dare to accept the challenge. Anyway, the first batch of people were transferred out. They were the people closest to him. Nothing must happen to them. Longao didn't return to the Soaring Dragon bit wall immediately. The people who were transferred out must find a suitable bit wall in the shortest time possible. The bit wall they were looking for this time must be hidden enough. Because Longao was very clear in his heart that he shouldn't let Bai Jing and the others find this plane for the time being, because the next thing would be very troublesome. He had to fight against the 9 great Starry Sky Empires alone. Without any worries, he could also go all out and do something big. There were countless bit walls in the vast starry sky. Perhaps no one knew how many bit walls there were in the vast starry sky. The 9 Starry Sky Empires were basically the overlords of the vast starry sky. They were in charge of the entire vast starry sky. It wasn't easy to find a bit wall that was hidden from the 9 Starry Sky Empires. Especially now, the situation was becoming more and more unfavorable for him. This was a very troublesome matter. Xiling, you have been in the vast starry sky for countless years. I believe you have a better understanding of the vast starry sky. Can you help me find a hidden bit wall? The only problem is not to be discovered by the 9 Starry Sky Empires and Bai Jing. If the bit wall was discovered and he wasn't there, then things would be troublesome. This was the real reason why Longao didn't dare to casually choose a bit wall. He was sure that he could find it, but he didn't dare to say that the bit wall he found would not be discovered. Xiling certainly knew the seriousness of the matter. If it was any other matter, she could participate. But if the bit wall she chose was discovered, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao. Longao knew what Xiling meant. Before Xiling could speak, Longao took the lead and said, "Xiling, I know what you're thinking. Our relationship is clear. I don't want to say anything else. No matter what happens, it has nothing to do with you." Longao's words had already reached this point. Xiling knew that if she did not agree, it would really be a bit unreasonable. She felt helpless and didn't dare to make a decision immediately. Instead, she took Longao with her and began a large-scale search. Just as Longao said, Xiling had become the ruler of the starry sky countless years ago. She had traveled to many places with Bai Ling. The bit wall they had seen was far beyond what Longao could compare to. Longao didn't say anything. Since he chose to let Xiling choose a bit wall, then he trusted Xiling. So, no matter which bit wall Xiling chose, he would agree without hesitation. He trusted Xiling very much. No matter who it was, he believed that Xiling wouldn't harm him. About 3 days later, Xiling's expression became more and more serious. After 3 days of searching, they had searched no less than millions of bit walls. However, Xiling and Longao hadn't found a suitable bit wall. This was because the 9 great starry sky empires were too powerful. Especially with the appearance of white crystal, the other starry sky empires wouldn't dare to go against the 9 great starry sky empires. No matter which bit wall they chose, they would eventually be discovered by the 9 great starry sky empires. Longao wouldn't let a single mistake happen. Xiling also knew the seriousness of the matter, so she didn't dare to make a decision casually. Chapter 2385. Should he choose the Sky Marshal Plane? Longao knew very well that if he brought the Empire to the Sky Marshal Plane, no one would dare to step into the plane. When the time came, not to mention Bai Jing and the 9 great starry sky empires, even Long Mie and the other starry sky dominators would not dare to casually step into the plane. However, Longao was still a little hesitant. Although entering the Sky Marshal plane could guarantee that nothing would go wrong, Longao also had his own worries. Longao was only worried about one thing, and that was that if his family entered the Sky Marshal plane, the Oracle would have a few people and it would be difficult for him to leave with the Empire. Especially with the Primal Chaos Rock in the Sky Marshal continent. Once the Primal Chaos Rock broke the seal, the Sky Marshal continent would be the first to bear the brunt. After thinking about it, in the end, Longao chose to give up going to the Sky Marshal continent. Even if it was easier to be exposed outside, he still chose to go outside. How could Xiling not know about Longao's thoughts? Longao, you can't go to the Sky Marshal continent. I understand, Xiling, there's something I want to tell you. After thinking about it for a while, Longao was still prepared to tell Xiling about the Primal Chaos Rock. Xiling was very curious. She did not know what Longao meant. Why would he suddenly do this? What's the matter? Without hiding anything, Longao recounted everything that had happened before, especially the matter about the Primal Chaos Rock. He did not hide anything at all. Longao's intuition told him that the Primal Chaos Rock and the Oracle would not be so simple. Xiling was not an outsider. He should tell Xiling as soon as possible so that Xiling could be prepared. During this time, Xiling did not say a word, but her face was very serious. Of course she knew what the Primal Chaos Rock meant. A Primal Chaos Rock that came out of the Primal Chaos Source, she knew what it meant. It was very depressing. If the Oracle could really subdue the Primal Chaos Rock, then there was no doubt that even if they recovered their Starry Sky Dominators, they would not be a match for the Oracle. Longao, what do you think of this matter? Longao thought about it and said, Xiling, I know what you mean. I already went to the Martial Heaven continent. It's impossible for the God Diviner to subdue the Primal Chaos Rock unless something unexpected happens. It was a surprise. It was better to be safe than sorry. If something went wrong and the marvelous mathematician really subdued the primordial rock, then things would be really troublesome. Towards Xiling's meaning, how could Longao not know? Xiling, after settling the matters in the Empire, I will make a trip to the Tianwu continent to see if I can deal with the primal chaos rock. Heh! What did that mean? Xiling knew Longao well. Once he had decided on something, he would never give up. If it had been anything else, it would have been fine. But considering the relationship between Master God Diviner and Longao, he was sure that Master God Diviner wouldn't have said anything. The only exception was the primal chaos rock. The primordial rock possessed primordial chaos power. If Master God Diviner was able to subdue it, then there was no question that he would be able to truly control the primordial chaos tablet and the primordial chaos power within it. It could be said that way. The primal chaos rock was the God Diviner's lifeblood. No one could touch it. Otherwise, even Longao would probably be killed. Longao, you shouldn't take this risk. You should know how important the God Diviner is to the primal chaos rock. He shook his head. Xiling, I trust you know better than me just how troublesome the current situation is. Longao continued, whether the God Diviner and I will be friends or foes in the future, no one knows. Taking a step back, if the God Diviner and I are enemies in the future, then things will be troublesome. How could Xiling not understand that? Even so, she was still very worried about Longao's safety. The God Diviner's power was clear for all to see. Let alone Longao, even she wouldn't be a match for the God Diviner in her peak state. Before Xiling could say anything, Longao continued, if the God Diviner really subdued the primal chaos rock and gained control of the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos stone tablet, will we still have a chance to refine the primal chaos stone tablet? Even if we can refine the primal chaos stone tablet and become the ruler of the starry sky, we won't be a match for the God Diviner. How could Xiling not understand that? Longao, I also understand what you're trying to say. However, I'll still say the same thing. If you don't have absolute confidence, don't go to the Martial Heaven continent. At the very least, wait until my cultivation base is restored to the ruler of the starry sky. At that time, if we work together, our chances will be higher. Alright, now isn't the time. In any case, they couldn't enter the Martial Heaven continent right now. Longao knew that just relying on his own power, he wouldn't be able to enter the Martial Heaven continent stealthily. Furthermore, breaking the seal without anyone noticing was practically impossible. The most important thing right now was to deal with the matter of the Empire. Bai Jing had already begun to attack the Empire. If they couldn't break the seal within a month, the Empire would be in big trouble. It was still the same thing. He couldn't give up on the Empire. Xiling and Long Qiong continued to search for planes. The two of them were extremely fast, but even after searching left and right, they still couldn't find a suitable plane. The level of the plane didn't matter. The most important thing was that it was hidden. It couldn't be discovered by the 9 starry sky empires. The 9 starry sky empires' territory was too vast. The planes they found had to be far away from them. Planes were divided into 3 levels. They were the primary planes, the intermediate planes, and the advanced planes. Middle-grade realms and high-grade realms were too conspicuous. If one were to choose a low-grade realm, one could imagine the consequences. Because of this, whether it was Violet Spirit or Longao, they were very certain to choose a low-grade realm. Because of this, no one in the 3 realms would care about a low-grade realm. A low-level plane couldn't produce starry sky cultivators. Only cultivators from the outside world could enter a low-level plane. There were too many low-level planes. In the end, Longao and Xiling found a low-level plane that was extremely hidden. It was surrounded by planes. After thinking about it, they felt that the most dangerous place was the safest place. Even if you beat them to death, the 9 starry sky empires wouldn't have thought that they would choose a low-level plane. Furthermore, it was so concentrated. This way, as long as they were careful, anyone who stepped into the low-level plane would be trapped inside. In that case, it would be too difficult for the 9 starry sky empires to find their own plane. After sending everyone into the low-level plane, they began to set up the seal. Not only that, but this time, Longao prepared to set up a formation to ensure that nothing went wrong. Chapter 2386. Besides being a starry sky cultivator, Longao was also a powerful array master. He was full of confidence. The array he set up could completely withstand the attacks of starry sky immortals and even peak starry sky immortals. As for whether it could withstand Bai Jing's attack, it was still unknown. After dealing with the first wave of people, Longao did not hesitate and immediately returned to the Soaring Dragon Empire. This time, Xiling did not follow. No matter what, Xiling and Long Qiong stayed behind to borrow the power of the Chaos Stone Tablet to resist the enemies. No one knew what would happen in the next second. As the saying goes, caution is the parent of safety. It was better to be prepared early. Soaring Dragon Empire. Bai Jing only tried a few times and chose to give up. This was because Bai Jing could clearly sense that the seal on the Soaring Dragon bit wall had been left behind by the Starry Sky Ruler. Although she did not know why the Starry Sky Ruler wanted to help Longao, even if he was a half-step Starry Sky Ruler, he would not be able to break the seal left behind by the Starry Sky Ruler. No wonder dozens of peak Starry Sky Immortals could not break the seal. Longao used the Chaos Palace and easily returned to the Soaring Dragon Empire. No one knew. Just like that, Longao moved again and again. After successfully finding the plane, Longao of course knew that he had to move as fast as possible. Otherwise, once Bai Jing broke the seal, the consequences would be unimaginable. In just 20 days, Longao had successfully moved everyone. However, Longao did not give up. After all, there were other families in the Soaring Dragon Empire. As long as they were willing to continue to submit, they would all move. In the end, Longao and Shen Tong chose to leave. With the previous lesson, although Longao still treated Shen Tong as a friend, he still took precautions. Because he did not know if Shen Tong would be like before in the future. Shen Tong also successfully entered the lower plane. As for what happened, Shen Tong already knew. He did not ask. He did not care. If he recovered his peak strength, he might be able to intervene. But now, if he forcibly intervened, he might fail miserably. At that time, he would not even have the chance to regret. In just a month's time, the interior of the Soaring Dragon Realm was already an empty shell. Although there were many who were unwilling to continue submitting, Longao was very understanding. However, just as Longao was about to move the rest of the people away, Bai Jing began to attack the seal again. In the past, with Xiling and Long Qiong working together to strengthen the seal, Bai Jing might not have been able to break the seal in a short period of time. But now, Xiling and Long Qiong had both left and returned to the low-level plane where they had just found themselves. Xiling and Long Qiong's Chaos Tablets had already left. All that was left was the seal. With Bai Jing's power, she could easily break the seal. Bai Jing also sensed that the seal was getting thinner and thinner. He was overjoyed. Bai Jing brought tens of Pinnacle Universe Undyings and began to break the seal. There was a loud boom. Under the loud noise, the seal of the Soaring Dragon Realm was broken. Everyone was overjoyed. With an order, everyone rushed madly into the Soaring Dragon Empire. Bai Hua's order had been issued. In the Soaring Dragon Realm, except for Longao's family, everyone else was to be killed. No one was left alive. The 9 great universe empires worked together. In just half an hour, the remaining people of the Soaring Dragon Empire were all slaughtered. Under normal circumstances, even if the seal was broken, it should be impossible to kill everyone. If it was a weak empire, the consequences would be obvious. However, the 9 great universe empires did not care at all. In the vast starry sky, the 9 great universe empires were the most powerful existences. They were the overlords of the vast starry sky. Who would dare to go against the 9 great universe empires? They were simply courting death. It was exactly so. The 9 great universe empires did not care at all. Even if there were people who did not like it, they would not dare to say anything. After breaking the seal, even if Longao could leave smoothly, what about the others? As long as they captured Longao's family, Longao would be meat on the chopping board, ready to be slaughtered. Everyone was well aware of this. But in the end, when Bai Jing led everyone to the Soaring Dragon Empire, they found no one there. What was going on? Everyone was completely dumbfounded. The soaring dragon realm was guarded by the 9 great universe empires. Tens of millions of people were guarding it. It was simply impossible to disappear under the noses of the 9 great universe empires. How did Longao do it? They could not figure it out. They really could not figure it out. No one knew what had happened. Bai Jing's face was very gloomy, as ugly as it could be. The 3 starry sky eagles and the others did not dare to say anything. It was not easy to break the seal. They did not expect Longao to come up with an empty city strategy. In this way, the 9 great universe empires' efforts would be in vain. It was still the same sentence. Bai Jing did not care about Longao's life or death. He only cared about one thing, and that was the primal chaos stone tablet. Bai Jing knew very well that since Longao could obtain 2 primal chaos stone tablets, it was definitely not simple. When the primal chaos plane descended into the vast starry sky, no one could obtain the primal chaos stone tablet. Even the 12 starry sky rulers could not do it. Only Longao obtained 2 primal chaos stone tablets. If there was nothing fishy about it, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. He thought that after breaking the seal, he could control the entire soaring dragon empire. At that time, Longao would not obediently submit. As long as he could obtain the primal chaos stone tablet, he would not hesitate to let Longao go. But in the end, the entire soaring dragon empire was empty. If he could not control the soaring dragon empire, and Longao had such a heaven-defying divine weapon, even if he was a half-step starry sky ruler, he would not be able to lock onto Longao's location. Endless anger. Destroy the entire soaring dragon plane. No one dared to disobey Bai Jing's words. Especially at this time, Bai Jing was obviously furious. At this juncture, no one dared to provoke Bai Jing. If Bai Jing was not happy, he could destroy everyone here at any time. The strength of a half-step starry sky ruler was not something to be trifled with. Bai Jing led everyone out of the soaring dragon bit wall. Destroying a bit wall was the most taboo in the vast starry sky. Even the 9 great starry sky empires would not do such a thing unless it was absolutely necessary. However, no one dared to disobey Bai Jing's orders. Provoking Bai Jing at this time was a path to death. Without any other choice, the dozens of peak starry sky immortals from the 9 great universe empires joined forces to destroy the soaring dragon empire. The power of dozens of peak starry sky immortals joining forces was too terrifying. Chapter 2387. There was no doubt about it. Soaring Dragon Empire didn't even last a second under the joint attack of dozens of peak starry sky immortals. Fortunately, Longao moved early. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Endless anger. Even destroying Soaring Dragon Empire wouldn't help. As long as she couldn't find Longao, she wouldn't be able to get the Primal Chaos Tablet. Bai Jing was very worried. If the other 8 half-step starry sky rulers appeared, she would be more of a hindrance. She had to end the battle quickly. However, Longao had a starry sky god tool now. It was almost impossible for her to lock onto Longao. Even if Longao was standing in front of her, she might not be able to lock onto him. If she didn't experience it herself, it would be hard to believe. For so many years, such a thing had never happened before. The only way was to control the Long family behind Longao. This way, Longao would be captured without a fight. If she wanted him to go east, he would go east. If she wanted him to go west, he would go west. Find him. No matter who it is, as long as you can find the location of Soaring Dragon Empire, I'll reward you heavily. I'll also accept you as my disciple. Bai Jing's offer was too tempting. Everything else was nonsense. Only Bai Jing as her master. Such an offer could surpass everything else. Everyone from the 9 great starry sky empires began to leave frantically, because everyone couldn't wait to find the Soaring Dragon Empire. In that case, once they became Bai Jing's disciple, there was no doubt that reaching the peak starry sky immortal realm in the future would be just around the corner. At the very least, they could reach the starry sky immortal realm. Not long after, everyone around had disappeared without a trace. Only Bai Jing and the 3 starry sky eagles were left. Master, looks like Longao has already moved to Soaring Dragon Empire. We just didn't know about it. This is our mistake. She waved her hand. Bai Jing said coldly, this isn't your fault. Longao is too cunning. Looks like this kid isn't simple. He's already thought of becoming enemies with us sooner or later. Let's move to Soaring Dragon Empire first. If it's just him, he can protect himself with a starry sky god tool. With regards to Longao's meaning, Bai Jing knew clearly. She was very depressed. She actually fell for a small Longao. How could the 3 eagles not know about this matter? However, the vast starry sky was too big, and there were countless planes. Even the 9 great starry sky empires could not dominate more than 1,000th, or even 1/10,000th of it. What kind of concept was that? Trying to find the whereabouts of the Soaring Dragon Empire in the vast starry sky was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Was it even possible? The faces of the 3 starry sky eagles were very solemn. As long as they could not control the Soaring Dragon Empire, they would not be able to deal with Longao. It was so embarrassing. The 3 of you, go and make arrangements immediately. No matter what happens, you must find the location of the Soaring Dragon Empire. The 3 starry sky eagles obviously knew what their master meant. So, they didn't dare to hesitate. They immediately turned around and left. The 3 of them disappeared without a trace after a while. Only Bai Jing was left in the surrounding space. His face was very gloomy. Ever since he had risen in the vast starry sky and dominated the world, he had never encountered such a thing. If Longao was a half-step starry sky dominator, it would be fine. But Longao was just a small starry sky legend. Under normal circumstances, not to mention him, even his 3 disciples could easily destroy Longao. But what was the result? Longao had too many secrets. He also had a starry sky divine tool. Even he couldn't lock onto this starry sky divine tool. If that was the case, things would be very troublesome. What should he do? Bai Jing also had a conjecture in his heart. That was, what did the starry sky dominator behind Longao mean? Now he had 2 doubts. Since Longao had the starry sky dominator behind him, why didn't the starry sky dominator directly help Longao destroy the 9 great starry sky empires? Looking at Longao's actions, it seemed that the starry sky dominator behind him did not fully support him. He really couldn't figure out what was going on. Bai Jing was also not sure what the starry sky dominator behind Longao meant. Even if his cultivation had reached half-step starry sky dominator, it was still not enough to face the starry sky dominator. As long as the starry sky dominator wanted to, he could be destroyed at any time. It was very helpless. Longao was in the distance. Relying on the aura of the primal chaos palace, no one could sense his aura at all. Even Bai Jing couldn't do it. Right under his nose. If Bai Jing knew about this, he didn't know whether he would be angered to death. Although he was very confident in the low-level plane he found, and also firmly believed that the most dangerous place was the safest place, there were always accidents. If the plane was discovered by the 9 great starry sky empires, the consequences would be unimaginable. He was very worried. Longao turned around and returned to his empire. He found Long Ying to see what to do and how to completely seal the plane. Big brother, I believe you know the current situation better than I do. In your opinion, what should we do now? Long Ying certainly knew the seriousness of the matter. He thought for a while and said, 7th brother, I know what you mean. Although our plane is only a low-level plane, we still can't control it. If someone steps into our plane, although we can trap them and not let them out, after a long time, something fishy will definitely happen. In this way, sooner or later, the 9 great starry sky empires will find out. When that time comes, we will be in big trouble. Nodding, his big brother's analysis was right. This was also the thing that Longao was most helpless and worried about. 7th brother, I've already thought about this. The only way is for us to find a hidden place on this plane and seal this place. Our people can't take a single step out. In this way, I believe that no one will be able to discover us in a short period of time. Good idea. Big brother, I know what you mean. Let's not touch the plains situation. Let's keep it the same as before. Even if the 9 great starry sky empires come in, they won't find anything. Longao knew very well in his heart that in the vast starry sky, there were countless plains. Even if the 9 great starry sky empires were powerful and could find every plane, it would be too ridiculous to search every plane inside and out. Longao was almost certain that the 9 great starry sky empires couldn't do this. If that was the case, his big brother's idea was very good. Let's do it. Longao and Longying found an extremely secluded place in the low-level plain. It was surrounded by barren mountains and wilderness. It was desolate and uninhabited. Not to mention humans, even beasts could not be seen. This place was so remote that even if the 9 great starry sky empires found this place, they would not search carefully. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.